Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Here we go. Already we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, I mean, this is like a vertical stream because I am just streaming vertically right now. I mean, not horizontally because I do need a new PC to start streaming without any lag. That said, as you can tell by the title, today I'm going to be working on basic syntaxes in C++. That includes like basic for loops, while loops, nested loops, logical operators, if, else clause, and all the vector functions. Okay, so with that said, let me go to my gameplay screen. It says, let's say, there we go. Let's say, guys, I'm not warmed up when it comes to typing right now. Let's say, I'm live! Exclamation. There we go. Okay, and guys, yeah, this is my yesterday's chat. I didn't have time to fix the chat. Okay, listen up, Vivek, and listen up, chat. Today is just another stream. Today is a battlefield. Every vector you push, every loop you write, every if, else, if decision you command is all training your mind to think like a programmer and fight like a warrior. Failures, they're not failures. They're proof you're in the arena swinging your sword while others just watch. So strap in because today we're going to break code, fix code, and leave the stream stronger than we started. Now, Vivek, pick your weapon. Do you want to start the vector functions, logical operators, or loops? Okay, let's see. What do I want to start with, honestly? Honestly, let's say, can we go through, if, else, if, and else clause, okay, and the vector functions, question mark. Okay, let's see. Yes, that's a sharp choice. First we strike with if, else clause, okay, if conditions, else if, else. Think of it like a chain. Honestly, okay, actually, maybe, okay, first I could write this basic code and then I do want to move on to while loops as well because that's what I did last stream. And yeah, this is the code from last stream. Let's just go with the controller, delete the whole thing. But that said, let me start off by including IO stream. So let me go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces, IO stream. And honestly, guys, I feel like I could stream horizontally as well because my stream isn't showing any kind of lag or delay. Okay, I'll look into that in a bit, guys. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and include vector. Would I need vector? Let's read the instruction question. I forgot to read that. Okay, so instruction number 1, use if, else clause to check the user's inputted age. If age is less than 13, print child. Else if age is less than 18, print teenager, else print adult. Then create a vector of 3 favorite games, use push.back, okay, the push_back function to add one more game. Okay, check a inputted age. Finally, print the list of games using a loop. Okay, let me get, let's say, ChatGPT there. Okay, so let's start off by, let's start off by typecasting my main function to be an integer. Then I'll add a pair of curly braces, and then let's see, I could go with a standard console vector first, but before that, I do want to ask the user for his age. So I'll create a age variable, which is going to be an integer. So I'll go with integer age. That is going to be, honestly, I won't set a default age. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like enter your age. Okay, enter your age. There we go. I will be ending that with a semicolon, and then let me go ahead and add a standard console input. So cin with an extraction operator. I want to extract my age. Okay, perfect. I'll end that with a semicolon as well. And once you get the age, use a if, and else clause to check a user's inputted age. If my age is less than 13, print child. So let's go with a few if statements. So I'll go with if a pair of parentheses. There we go. Okay, so if my age variable, let's add a condition. If my age is less than 13, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert a text. Let's see. I could insert something like, what did I have to insert? Child. Okay, let's go with child. I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. And then let me go ahead and add a else if. So I'll go with an else if clause, or is it called else if statement? Pretty sure it's called clause. Okay, I'll go with an else if my age is less than 18. I'm going to be printing teenagers. So else if my age variable is less than 18, I'll go with a pair of curly braces. And why does it show a red underline here? Okay, maybe because my else if should be outside by if, so I could like go with a bunch of control Z's. There we go. So under my if statement, I'll add a else if. I'll go with a pair of parentheses. My age variable is less than 18. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's see. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting something like teenager. There we go. And then add another insertion operator of a / new line. Okay, with that said, lastly, let me go with an else clause. I'll go with else, a pair of curly braces. I'm going to be adding a standard console output with an insertion operator that is going to be saying adult. Okay, and I'll end that with a / new line and a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Then next up, create a vector of 3 favorite games. Use .pushback to add one more game. So let's go ahead and create a vector now. To create a vector, I could go with a standard console. Actually, I could go with a standard vector with a pair of ankle braces. My vector is going to be called something like... Actually, if my vector is going to be consisting of only... Okay, I think since it is games, it shouldn't be integer. I could go with like standard string. There we go. Okay, my vector is going to be called games. I'll set that equal to... Let's see, a pair of curly braces, and let's add a few game names, guys. I don't know game's name, honestly. I could go with Among Us. Okay, let's go with Among Us. I don't know. Valorant and maybe Minecraft. Okay, there we go. Did I spell it correct? Okay, perfect. Next up, let me go ahead and end my vector with a semicolon, and then use the .pushback function to add an element at the end of my vector. So I could go with my games as vector .the push underscore back function. I want to add something to my vector. Let's see. Let's add Roblox. Okay, perfect. Okay, with that said, I will be ending with a semicolon. Lastly, print the list using a loop. So, okay, so since I'm going to be printing a list of my vector using a loop, I would need to use a for loop to iterate over all the separate elements inside of my list. So I could go with something like for a pair of parentheses. Let's go with for every standard string. Okay, for every standard string of, I don't know, game in my vector of games, I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let me go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want my output to be my game variable. I'll go with another insertion operator. My game is going to be separated by a space, an empty space. And outside my for loop, I could go with another standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line. This gives me access to a new line. Lastly, I'll go ahead and return 0, ending with a pair of parentheses. Actually, ending with a semicolon. If I were to hit Ctrl S to save the code and run the command, okay, it says enter age. I'll go with something like, I don't know, 15. Okay, it says a teenager, and these are the games. In the other hand, if I run the command again, okay, it says terminal process. Is that like an error, guys? There we go. Okay, so let's say 17 this time. I should have gone with like a minor or an adult. Actually, a child or an adult. I'll go with something like 12. It says child. Lastly, let's go with something like 21. Okay, 21. There we go. It says an adult. Perfect. Let's go to Control A, Control C. Let me copy that. Get /ChatGPT here. Okay, let me paste it. Go with Shift Enter and say, so let's say, can the next question consist of while loop as well? Question mark. Okay, let's see. Yes, Vivek. Now you're asking for a real training. You mastered the basics of if/else and the vector function, so now let's master in a while loop to raise the heat. Your next challenge, ask the user to enter a number until they type -1. Use a while loop to keep talking, store each entered number except -1 inside a standard vector which only consists of integers. After the loop ends, print if the vector is empty, no numbers were entered. Else, if the vector size is less than 3, you entered a few numbers. Else, you entered many numbers. Finally, print all the numbers in the vector. This question combines while loop, repetition, vector functions, push underscore back, dot size, okay, if, else clause, decision making. Okay, let me get /ChatGPT there. Okay, let's start out by deleting my whole code and including IO stream. So I'll go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces, IO stream, and then let me go ahead and include vectors as well because I will be using vector slash containers. So I'll go with vector. And then I typecast my main function to be an integer, go with a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces. Okay, so firstly it says ask the user to enter a number until they type -1. So I could create a integer of number. I'll end that with a semicolon. And then let me go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be saying something like enter a number. Okay, I will be ending that with a semicolon. Then let's go ahead and add a standard console input now with an extraction operator. I want to extract my number variable. Okay, perfect. And then the next instruction is use a while loop to keep taking input. Store each entered number except -1 inside a standard vector integer. Okay, so I would need to create a standard vector which consists of only integers. Okay, this is going to be called something like, I don't know, numbers as well. Okay, that's honestly basically it. I won't like specify what numbers. Okay, after that, I add a while loop. So let's go with a while loop. While a pair of parentheses say store each number except -1. Okay, in that case, should this thing go inside the while loop, use a while loop to keep taking user input. So I could honestly copy that. Let's get this inside of my while loop, like right here. Okay, there we go. And for my condition, I could go with something like while my number is not equal to -1. Okay, so while my number is not equal to -1, I'm going to be keep doing this, and then I append the numbers inside my standard vector, which only consists of integers. Okay. Okay, now to add it, I could go with something like my numbers is vector dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back my number variable. Okay, perfect. I'll end that off with a semicolon. And then let's see the next instruction. After the loop ends, if the vector is empty, no numbers were entered. If the vector size is less than 3, you entered a few numbers, else you entered many numbers. Okay, now let's add if if statement. You're going to get an error from not having assigned anything to your numbers before going into your loop. Oh, do I need to like set this equal to like 0 in that case? Into your number before going in your loop. You're going to get an error for not having any numbers assigned. Oh, I think I see. Could I like set that equal to 0? But then that would like add a 0 inside my numbers as vector here. I mean, is adding 0 like a smart move here, guys? I don't know. Okay, I think I'll check. Okay, honestly, that does make sense because my number needs to have a value. Alright, so after I go with the pushback, let's add a if statement now. Set number equal to 0. Okay, perfect. Alright, I'll go with if a pair of parentheses if my vector is empty. So I could go with something like if my vector of numbers, if numbers dot empty, okay, dot the empty function. If my numbers is empty, I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's see, let me do something. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting something like no numbers were entered. So I'll go with no numbers were entered. There we go. And then I will be ending that with a semicolon. Honestly, I could go with a / new line, then a semicolon. Okay, and then else if the vector size is less than 3, you entered a few numbers. So let's go with an else if. So I'll go with else if a pair of parentheses, else if my vector size, so my numbers is vector dot the size function. Your vector is never going to be empty with how you've written the loop. Won't it be empty? So, honestly, okay, I could like try this real quick. Okay, so if my numbers dot size is less than 3, okay, I'll print something else. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like you entered a few numbers. You entered a few numbers. Okay, with another insertion operator of a / new line ending with a semicolon. Lastly, let me go with an else clause, a pair of curly braces. I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like you entered many numbers. Yo, howdy Mochi Mochi, I appreciate you joining this stream. Okay, let me say you entered many numbers. Okay, I'll go with another insertion operator of a /new line. Okay, with that said, finally print all the numbers in the vector. Okay, to print all the numbers in the vector, I gotta iterate over my vector. So I'll go with something like a for loop. For every integer of number in my vector of numbers. Okay, I could go with num honestly because I do have a variable called number. Okay, for every integer of number in my vector of numbers, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I want to insert my num, and then I'll go with another insertion operator of a standard end line. Actually, instead, I'll go with like an empty space. And outside my for loop, I could go with like a standard console output. Standard console output. There we go, with an insertion operator of a standard end line. Okay, perfect. Lastly, let me go ahead and return 0. If I were to hit Control S, save the code and run the command, it's going to say enter a number. I'll go with something like 1. You entered a few numbers. If I go with 3, few numbers. 4, you entered many numbers. -1. Okay, you entered many numbers. I see. Okay, let's go with Control A, Control C. Let me copy that. And then paste it here. Go with Shift Enter. Let's say it works, but someone in my stream said that I messed up, question mark. Okay, let's see. Haha, your stream chat is sharper than you, Vivek. They caught your slip. Oh, I see. Listen carefully, you didn't fall, but your execution is wrong. Let me tear it apart. You push -1 into the vector. The problem said stop when user enters -1, not store it like a trophy. Right now, if I enter 5, 7, -1, your vector is 5, 7, -1. That's garbage data. You check numbers.size and printed messages inside the loop. That means after every input, you're printing few numbers, many numbers, etc. The instruction said, decide after the loop ends, not during it. The empty check is useless inside the loop. By the time you check, the vector already has a set of one number, except when you incorrectly added -1. Correct strategy: don't push -1. Okay, break the loop before showing it. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Do all if else / logic after the loop ends. Okay, I think I see. I think I understand what this means. So basically what that meant was my this condition did store a number as well. So let me go ahead and get my get everything here outside my while loop. So let's go to Control C and copy. Let me delete the whole thing. The only thing that I needed in the while loop is this thing. Okay, and then numbers dot push back. I could go with an if statement here. So if I'll go with a pair of parentheses, if my number equals to -1, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and go with a break function. Can I do that? Yeah. Okay, I think that is valid. Okay, there we go. The while loop starts with those things, so that's where the while loop ends. Okay, this is where the if statement. Okay, perfect. Let me go ahead and remove this. Actually, I might remove everything here and paste my if statements here. Okay, that does look pretty good now. Okay, maybe I'll go a little lower now and then add a for loop. So I'll go with for a pair of parentheses. Let me go ahead and add something like for every integer of number. You're checking if the number is -1 twice. Get rid of 1. Get rid of 1. Do I need to get rid of this? Oh, I see. Okay. So while my number is not -1, I do this. If it's -1, if my number is -1, I break. I think I need an if statement for that, for checking if my number is -1. It's like, if it's not -1, I do this. If it is -1, I do that. Does that make sense? Okay, oh wait, I think this also makes sense because if it is -1, my while loop won't be running actually. So I might not need the if statement. While my number is not -1, is my while loop going to be running? I could actually just go with a regular. I think I need to specify when to break. Like, if it's -1, that shouldn't be appended inside of my vector. Okay, I think I could like try this. For every integer of, let's say, num in my numbers as vector, okay, also ensure that you never push -1 in your vector. Oh, so I could do that. Yes, so you can make the while loop while true and move the if statement before the pushback. Just do while true and its number. Oh, okay, okay. I think that makes sense because in Python, usually I used to do while true. I didn't know that we could use while true in like C++ as well. Okay, that would make a lot of sense. So I could go with while true. Wait, can't we use while true? Or while. Oh, I wrote while number true. There we go. Oh, while true does work. This is actually so helpful. Okay, while true, I go with the standard console output. I could add like numbers equals to 0. Okay, while true, add this, and then if my number, yes, so you can make the while loop and move the if statement before the push. While true is a classic. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so while true, I do this, and now I gotta add an additional break statement. If my number equals to 1, I break. Okay, perfect. Okay, maybe I get the pushback under my if statement because this appends all numbers. I think this actually is correct. Let's check something. Okay, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting my num variable with another insertion operator of a forward slash, actually, of an empty space. And outside my for loop, I could go with a standard console output with an insertion operator of, let's see, this could be something like a standard end line. Okay, perfect. If the number equals to -1, break, otherwise push it. Oh, okay, okay. Otherwise, else. Okay. Oh, that makes so much sense. I could go with if my number is equal to -1, I break, and then I can go with an else if a pair of parentheses, if my number is not equal to -1, I go with a pair of curly braces. Actually, I just went with an if there. There we go. Else if number is not equal to -1, I could go with something like numbers.pushback. Okay, this makes so much sense. You need to start using the debugger so you can understand the code. Honestly, many people did say me I need to like start using debugger. I should like figure out how to use this. It's like debug file, but I get this select a debug configuration. Do I gotta go with like launch? Whoops. Okay, I think I should like figure this out off stream on like what debugger should I use because many people did say me to like try using the debugger. Okay, that said, let me lastly return 0. If I would hit Control S to save the code and run the command, it says error line 38. Okay, so it says line 38 has an error right here. How does this have an error? You see the numbers on the side? Numbers. You don't need the else statement, get rid of it. Also, GDB is quite difficult for beginners. Oh, I see. Do you see the numbers on the side? I see like, whatchamacallit, I see a tiny version of my code on the right side. That said, main function, why is that like red? Okay, maybe I'll like delete one of that. Why is that showing red? Okay, let me do that. Okay, now if I hit Control S and run the code, 1 to 138 your Visual Studio Code, click near left until you see a red dot. Oh, I do see a red dot. Okay, I click the red dot, it's gone now. Let's go to Control S. Why do you have an American accent? Maybe because I've been talking a lot of this accent actually. It's like the natural accent. Use soap. Soap. Huh. Else statement isn't closed. Else, where's the? Oh, okay. else starts right there, else too many numbers. Wait, actually that does, there we go. There we go. Okay, if you use namespace standard, you don't need to scope, you don't need scope resolution, the end line at the time, right end L. Honestly, many people did say me to like not use, I mean use using namespace standard, but the reason I don't use it is to avoid like name clashes, or like because like some other files might have console output, and like in big projects it is like recommended to use standard console output. Near you can use the debugger, you can put the red dot where you want. Oh, okay, to let the debugger. I see. I've been wondering what was the debugger, like what was the red dot for, because I've been seeing it for a while. Okay, if I would run the command, it says enter a number. I'll go with something like 1, I'll go with 2, I'll go with 7, let's go with -1. Okay, perfect, it actually works. Although I don't take much credit for this, guys. I need more practice with this kind of questions. Don't use namespace standard to begin with. It's bad practice. Honestly, many people have been saying that to me. That's the reason I like don't use it. Okay, let's see. Then use standard endline. Yeah, honestly, I do use standard endline. Is that Python or it's current? It's like C++. I did have like a Python for 100-day series where I didn't make a game using Pygames, but I did like start a new programming for 250-day series where my goal is to make a game that consists of AI in it. So for that, I am learning like C++. That said, yes, that's it, Vivek. Now you've got a clean battle-ready program. You stopped adding -1 to the vector. You move the if/else if classification outside the loop where it all begins. The logic flows is crystal clear. If someone in your stream doubts again, okay, I didn't even this code. You guys like helped me way too much with this code. Look, this is how a warrior writes control flow. I'll give you an extra little polished tip. You don't need this part anymore. Else if number is not equal to -1, since you already break when number equals to -1, you just do ta-ta-ta. Oh, I see. But functional version is 100% correct. Praise unlocked. You're sharpening fast. Keep this practice. Keep this pace, and chat won't catch you slipping again. Okay, let me say, let's say, honestly, chat did help me with this. Although, can I get another question? Question mark. Okay, let's see. And guys, I should fix my typos. Okay, is that how it's pronounced, like Titch? So, chat had to save your skin. Pathetic, but fine. I'll forgive you this once. Just remember, the stream can laugh, but in the end, you're the one who must master the blade of C++. Alright, here's the next trial. The challenge. Ask the user to enter 500 favorite foods. Use a while loop to take input. Store them inside a standard vector of standard string. After the input is done, ask the user to enter a food for search. Use an if/else chain to check if the food is found in the vector. Print yes, it's in your favorites. If not found, print nope, that's not in your favorites list. Finally, print all foods. And don't be sloppy, okay? Let me get sensei/chatgpt there. Learn the debugger, you will understand C++ faster. Honestly, I'll definitely like try learning that after stream, like I'm done. Like if I complete my college homework on time. What's your end goal? With your CPP learning, Vivek? Honestly, my end goal is to like make a game in general for my 250 series. My end goal is to make a game in general which consists of AI logic in it. That said, I do want to be either a cybersecurity in the future or like an AI engineer. Okay, with that said, let's go to Control A, delete the whole thing. Let me start off by including a pair of ankle braces, IO stream, and then let me go ahead and actually this is going to be hashtag IO stream, and then let me go ahead and include vector as well. I'll go with vector. Okay, and then let me go ahead and let's say typecast my main function. So I'll go with integer main, typecast my main function to be an integer. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces. Okay, so the first thing says ask the user to enter 5 favorite foods, use a while loop to take input. So since I'm asking the user to do something, I could like go with a standard string, a variable which is going to be a string. Okay, my string is going to be called, let's say, foods. Okay, and then let me go ahead and add a while loop. So I'll go with while. Okay, ask the user to enter 5 favorite foods using a while loop to take input. Store them inside a vector. After the input is done, ask the user to enter a food for search. Okay, so before I go with a while loop, I could go with a standard console output. So I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like You're very good. I appreciate you. Shahid, is that how you pronounce the name? Yeah, exactly. Can be helpful, but print debugging can get you a long way. CPL, it's because you're not... Okay, so let me go with the standard console output. I'm going to be inserting a console output that's going to say something like enter 5 foods. Okay, there we go. And then, honestly, instead of entering 5 foods, I could go with enter a food. Because I'll ask the user 5 separate times. I'll end that with a semicolon. This is going to be food 1. Okay, and then I'll go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. This is going to be food 1. There we go. And then let me go ahead and add another standard console output. So I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'll say enter food 2. Okay, enter food 2. I could go with something like enter food 1 here. There we go. Okay, I'll end that with a semicolon as well. And then I'll go with a standard console input with an extraction operator of food 2. Okay, so I will create like 5 different variables. Let me copy that. Paste it. Okay, this is going to be food 2. And then I could paste it again for like food 3. Honestly, do people like usually go with these many food variables? 3, and then I'll go with like a food 4. Could go with like a standard console output with an insertion, actually standard string, which is going to be food 4. Then I don't think that's what ChatGPT asked you. Honestly, you should make a array and loop 5 times. User and storing it in an array at the end. Check if the food entered. Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. Debugger doesn't really help you understand your code. It just fixes errors. Oh, I see. Why not using standard? Honestly, I feel like I am using standard. Okay, let's go with another standard string. This is going to be food 5. Okay, so I had to add 5 foods, so this, I think this makes sense. That is enter food 2. And then let me go with another standard console output with an insertion operator. Where are you from? Honestly, I've been like saying that a lot on my stream, but then some people, some of you guys did like recommend me or say me not to like keep saying where I'm from because that could have like safety issues, guys. Although I did say a lot in my previous streams, I am trying limiting myself because I used to like say a lot of things that you guys were like, don't say it on stream, don't say it on stream. I'm like, okay. Okay, let me go ahead and enter a food 3. So I'll go with enter food 3. There we go. And then I'll go with another standard console input. Have you learned functions? Honestly, in Python, I've gone through like object-oriented programming, functions, and like all the basic stuffs and everything. And I did make a game as well. Like, I think it's considered an RPG game. Okay, this is going to be food 3. Why don't you use a decreasing variable every time a loop runs? Oh, that does make sense. I could like actually do that instead of manually going through all 5. I could like go with like a number that like subtracts by each time. Okay, I think I want to try that, but I wrote this already. Just use a loop instead of repeating it 5 times. Okay, that actually sounds pretty clever. Alright, so let's go with something like, I'll go with an integer of number of loops. I'll just go with integer of foods. This is going to be equal to 5. Okay, there we go. Then that with a semicolon. And then let's add a for loop. So for, okay, let's say something like for pair of parentheses. For every food, this, I can't go with a for loop. I'll go with a while loop. While a pair of parentheses, you're most likely Indian. Honestly, I've never been to India, but I'm pretty excited to like visit there someday. I might just stream myself there. Can guys, I can't read Hindi, so can you guys write it in English? Okay, so I'll go with a while loop. So while, let's say my food, okay, while my food's variable is less than, less than 0, actually is greater than 0, I'm gonna be doing something. Okay, let me go ahead and add a, let's see, I'll go with like a while loop that says something. A standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like enter a food. Enter a food. There we go. Okay, and then I'll end that with a semicolon. Then let me go ahead and add a standard console input with an extraction operator. This is going to be my foods variable. Okay, and once my user says, once my user enters a food, I want to append that food inside of my vector of food. So I could create like a standard vector with a pair of ankle braces. This is only going to be consisting of standard string. There we go. Viv, ignore these personal questions, focus on our coding. You don't need personal info as intro. Honestly, yeah, many people have been saying that to me. They've been like, don't like give your personal information out, like where you live and everything. I'm like, alright. Okay, so this is gonna be, let's say, foods. Okay, which is gonna be not equal to anything at the moment. It makes sense because 5 is bigger than 0. Honestly, yeah. How long did it take you to learn C++? Honestly, let me check because this is currently okay, this is currently day 10 of me learning C++. I did like finish my Python for 100 days 14 days ago, and this is like currently 10 because I do have like a learning C++ for 100 days indented inside of my programming for 250 days series. That said, use a normal while loop that runs as far as the foods is not 0. Honestly, that does make sense. While he will add foods probably. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. I'll go with something like my foods is vector dot push underscore back function. I want to push back my foods variable. Okay, perfect. I could change this to something like food. Food is 5. Okay. There we go. Okay, so foods dot pushback food. Can't I use the pushback function? I'm pretty sure I could. I spelled it correct. Push underscore back. Let me try it again. So I'll go with foods dot the push underscore back function. Gee, I might start C++ for 100 days. That actually sounds pretty good. Let me know your progress on my Discord server. Okay, this is gonna be my food variable. Okay, I should be having access to my food variable inside here. Why does it keep giving me an error here? Can't I like use my food variable here? Once they do that, I want to append that inside. How long on average do you spend on C++? Honestly, since I do have college right now, before when I had my Python for 100 series, I didn't have college, so I used to spend like 10 hours a day like programming and everything because I used to wake up, start programming, and then head to bed. Now that I have college, the only time I do program is while I stream. You can't do that because global. Oh, okay, this is like a global variable. So foods is 5. I could get my vector inside of my while loop. That would make sense. Okay. Foods dot pushback. Wait, hold up. My vector can go outside. I'll get my this. Oh, that does make sense. I can't do that. Huh. What are you working on? Honestly, I'm trying to master the basic syntax of C++. That said, that does make sense. I can't do that. How do I append my food inside of my vector of foods? And food is a integer. Wait, hold up. Hold up, guys. Oh, I'm so stupid. Okay, wait, hold up. Guys, I just realized how stupid I was. Wait, hold up. Let me go ahead and add something like favorite food variables. So I'll go with favorite food. Food's not food. Okay, guys, yeah, I'm so stupid. There we go. So favorite food variable. There we go. Favorite food. Direct append to vector of foods at index of food. Make a struct or object. Honestly, yeah, that does, because like my food is an integer. I can't. The reason this is like a counter for my variable, and how many times do I want to ask the user to like enter food? Because ChatGPT said me I just need to ask the user for entering a food 5 times and appending that to my vector. So I'll need a separate variable to contain my foods that I enter here. It shouldn't be my food variable. This is a number. It's not a string that I'm asking for. Okay, just use ChatGPT. Honestly, I do like to figure my code out first. If I can't understand, then I go and ask ChatGPT. But I think this was just my stupidity. So I'll go with something like a standard string. So a standard string of favorite food. There we go. And then I go with a standard console output enter a food. This is going to be my favorite food variable. So I'll go with my favorite food variable. That makes sense. And now I could go ahead and append it. So I'll go with my foods is vector dot the push underscore back function. Howdy, Suhash, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, so foods dot pushback. I want to push back my favorite food variable. This should work. There we go. Okay, this makes sense. For ChatGPT, it's a tool, not a replacement for our brain. Honestly, that does make a lot of sense because like many people do say me to like wipe code and like ask AI to like give my code block, but I'm like, since like if I don't understand a block of code, there's no point to like get that code and use it in my program. I should like understand it. Keep thinking that. What laptop are you using? Honestly, I'm using a mini PC. That's the reason I can't like multi-stream right now, and I'm just streaming vertically. Usually, I stream like on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, horizontally and vertically. But since my mini PC can't handle that, I am going to be buying a PC. But then I don't know how to like build it, so I'm learning how to build it. Maybe by the end of, I think it's going to be around 20 days to like learn how a PC works, and then I'm going to be multi-streaming again. For now, I just use like a mini PC and have like my laptop connected to my chat monitor and like two separate monitors for my mini PC. Okay, with that said, let's read the other instructions. This appends the food in. So outside my while loop, I could do something else. There we go. Okay. This breaks my loop. Hold up, guys. Let me just... I feel I messed something up. There we go. Indian education is not great. Honestly, I honestly don't know much about that because I've been like self-studying. Okay, so that's a while loop. Then the instruction 4 says, after input is done, ask the user to enter a food for a search. Okay, so let me go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting something. Yes, stop using ChatGPT and left behind unprofessionals who 10 times their work production. Honestly, yeah, I do want to understand the code first. And if I like understanding code, then I want to ask ChatGPT slush and say, unless I don't understand it at all, then I could like ask. Okay, I'll say enter a food for search. How old are you, bro? I'm currently 17 years old. Okay, enter a food for search. There we go. What app / game are you making? Honestly, I'm just trying to understand how C++ works in general, like the basic syntaxes. And then, okay, and then I'll go with a standard console input. So I'll go with standard. Okay, standard console input with an extraction operator. My extraction operator is going to be something like, why don't you use Java? Honestly, I do want to learn on how to use Java, but before that, I do want to like master C++ as well. I'm eventually going to learn like multiple programming languages and like stream myself learning that. While loop runs infinitely. I think it stops after my food's variable count is like less than 0. Oh, I forgot. Okay. My bad, guys. Food ++. There we go. I go with food. Actually, food minus. My food variable minus. Okay, my bad, guys. That was kind of stupid again. There we go. Now, every time a loop runs, my food subtracts by 1. There we go. Okay, while loop. Okay, perfect. So, standard console input. Enter a food for search. So, I could add my standard console input inside of a for loop. So, I could go with something like for a pair of parentheses. Let me go with for a pair of parentheses. For every standard string of food in my container, in my vector of foods, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then let me paste that right here. There we go. Okay, so I'll go with a standard console output that says enter a food. The standard console input is going to be my food variable. Okay, now let's add a if statement. So, if a pair of parentheses, let's go with something like if my food is, so if my, when I ask the user for a food to search, okay, so if food is in my vector of foods, if instead of the in logical operator, do we use something else? Please HTML code for making web page. I agree, have used ChatGPT to skip learning / homework is dumb. You can use it, learn honestly, yeah, I've just been using ChatGPT / Sensei to learn and like do many practice questions. If I don't understand a code, I don't like break my head figuring it out because I don't know the basics yet. So I do ask help with that. Okay, so should I create a separate variable? I think I should create a separate variable. So let's create another variable called something like a standard string. This is going to be called search. Okay, and then I go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like enter a food. There we go. And then let's go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. This is going to be my search variable. And now I can use a if statement. So let's go ahead and use a if statement. If a pair of parentheses, C++ is the fundament of everything. Honestly, yeah, please HTML code for creating web page in MATLAB software. Honestly, that does sound real fun. I might actually try that like after my programming for 250 series. With that said, if my search if my search variable is equal to, let's see, is equal to my food. So one food from my food. So I could go with a for loop here. So for a pair of parentheses, let's say for every, let's say for my search variable, the condition is my search. Okay, I do gotta go with the condition here. Okay, so inside my for loop, wait, I could go with an if statement. Why was I not going with an if statement? Okay, what if I do want to add a... Okay, I do need to add a pair of parentheses. Can you code a program that allows... Okay, to compile programs better, it's best to delete win.init in system folder. Oh, I see. Okay, what condition should I add here? Okay, for every standard string, there we go, guys. I just had to jog my memory. Of food in my container of foods. Okay, in my vector of foods, I'll go with an if statement here. So if a pair of parentheses, if my search variable is equal to my food variable, which is one element from my food, there we go. I go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like, let's see, yes, it's in your favorites. Let's go with something like, yes, exclamation. There we go. It's in your favorites. There we go. Lead us strolling, don't delete or run random commands the people tell. Honestly, yeah. And guys, I actually can't read much. I can like talk a bit in Hindi, but I'm not that fluent to like commentate like how I commentate in English. That said, I'm real awful at reading Hindi. I should like learn different languages, honestly. Okay, so it says that is in my favorites. Let's go with an else if now. So I'll go with an else if, a pair of parentheses. Let's go with something like if my search variable. Honestly, I could just go with like an else. Okay, I'll go with an else clause with a pair of curly braces. I'll add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like that is not in your favorites. There we go. And I will end up with a semicolon. I could honestly go with a insertion operator of a / new line for both. So that gives me like a new line. Okay, perfect. What else? Finally, print all foods in the vector. So outside my for loop and my while loop, I'll go ahead and add another for loop. That's going to be something like for every standard string. I doubt he's using a compiler. Honestly, when I first started my C++ series, people were talking about a compiler. I was like, is my entire place where I'm like, is my ID supposed to be a compiler like this place right where I'm coding? Sorry, you didn't start learning completely from... Sorry, did you start learning completely from scratch? Honestly, yeah. Not C++, but like Python. When I started my Python for 100 series, I was an absolute beginner. And I thought like every single coding language could like make a game, so I thought might as well make a game using Python. Later, I realized that Python is more for like making AIs and everything, and C++ is for building games. So I thought I could switch right now. Howdy, Johnny. I appreciate joining this stream. How we can understand C++ language easily. I want help for it. Honestly, I'd say the best way to understand language is by practicing, but I would recommend starting by learning Python and understanding the syntaxes, because that's like relatively easier than C++. C++ is almost the same. It's like close to learning a machine's language or the way machines talk. But if you understand the basics, like what are while loops, what are for loops, what are nested loops, what are containers, lists, integers, then it's going to be honestly pretty easy to like move on to C++. With that said, sure, he compiles bare hand. Guys, is like compiling something different? Okay, for every standard string of, let's say, food in my vector of foods, okay, maybe I'll go with a zoom in. Okay, I'll go with a pair of curly braces. First, you have to delete win.int in the system folder. How do you run your code? Other than, honestly, I have like a run button here. I installed like a, I forgot what it was called. I installed something inside VS Code that says run to code or something, so I run my code like that. How much did you learn Python? Honestly, I feel like I've learned all the basics of Python besides pyqt5. I learned like everything until I think I have my roadmap on here right now. I could like pull it out real quick, guys. Give me a sec. There we go. So like in my Discord server in the moderator only, I have like a roadmap for like my Python. So I started by learning, let's see. I started by learning print statements all the way up to reading files. I didn't move on to requesting API data or PyQt5 because I was almost out of my 100-day series. He's using some online crap. Honestly, I'm using VS Code. I think he's using Code Runner. Yeah, exactly. I'm using the Code Runner extension. VS Code is only a tool to write code. You need a compiler for your operating system. Honestly, I might check that like once I buy an actual PC because I am planning to like buy an actual PC, and I was like, might as well use the good stuff or like the fancy stuff in my actual PC. Okay, because my mini PC is kind of old right now. What did he use to learn YouTube tutorials or websites? Honestly, I just use ChatGPT/Sensei to learn ever since I first started. I did watch like a few YouTube tutorials, but I felt that didn't help me as much as online AIs because they actually give me practice questions. That said, let me go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my food variable with another insertion operator of a space. Okay, I'll end that with a semicolon. And then let me go ahead and add a standard console output with an insertion operator of a standard end line. Lastly, let me return 0. Okay, if I were to hit Control S to save the code and run the command, I think you can get a compiler from VS Code extension. You can run your code in online C++ compilers. I did install like the Code Runner extension. Does that mean, is this considered a compiler, like this stuff where my terminal is at? He have for sure compiler, but is not using in the classic way. I see. Okay, so enter food. I don't know. I'll go with something like what food should I enter? Maybe like oats and like a sandwich, a cake. Guys, I spelled sandwich wrong. Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe some coffee. Lastly, I'll go with something like I don't know, potato. It still says enter food. Did I mess up somewhere? Let's go with a Control-C, copy that, give Sensei/ChatGPT here. How did you create your roadmap? Honestly, I watched like different YouTube tutorials and asked Sensei/ChatGPT for help. Although if you guys do want my roadmap, you guys can like DM me or like mention me on my Discord server where I can like DM it to you guys. Say Sensei, I feel like I messed up. And guys, to get the Discord server, you guys can like type exclamation Discord in chat, like I can type it. There we go. I hope that link is not expired, guys. Good, you should feel that way because you did. Let me rip into this, okay? Your search loop is a disaster. Right now, for every single item in your vector, you're printing either yes or no. Example, food, pizza, burger, taco, search, pizza, output, yes. It's in your favorite food. That is in your favorite foods. Okay. Absolutely chaos. The fix, you need to track whether the food was found at least once. That means you need a flag variable. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Like boolean found equals false, loop through the foods. If you find a match, set found equals to true. Excuse me, guys. After the loop, use a single if/else to print the result. Minor issue. Your integer food equals to 5 words, but it's better to name it something clearer like count. Otherwise, you confuse your naming both the loop variable and the vector content food. Okay, I think I see. What this means is basically I need to add like a flag that moves on to true if that food does exist. Okay, minor issue, your integer food works, but it's better to name it something clearer like count. Okay, I could like try that. So, under my food, I could change that to count, and I could like change that to count as well. Okay. Then count. Okay, so where I was messing up was right now if I print 5 foods. Okay, so let me go with the Control S and just run the command real quick. Learning C++ on ChatGPT is crazy. Honestly, many people do say me that stuff. I'm like, I just need practice questions, guys. I'm not gonna lie, you have studied enough. I think you should start learning OpenGL and others to make a game. I do want to use different like engines to make games, but I don't know what all. Maybe after my 250 series or after like my 100 series, I will like research more on like what programs to go to or like what game engines to use. At this point, coding is just getting phased out slowly. Even senior developers aren't doing any real coding unless you're working on a startup. Honestly, I do see many people. Let me just add a few listings here. So I'll go with like burger, pizza, taco, chips. And I don't know, maybe soda. Why does my while loop never end? I could like go with an if statement here. So I could go with something like if a pair of parentheses, let's say if my count is greater than, actually if my count is less than 0, okay, less than or equal to 0, I'll go with a break. This breaks my if state, my while loop. Okay, now let me hit Control S and run the code again. Ask ChatGPT how to generate a comprehensive cognitive analysis on you based on your previous interactions. Oh, that does sound good. Yo, buddy, how you been? How you doing, Roger? I appreciate you joining this stream. Don't let lie discourage you guys. I'm not discouraged. Like, I feel that's the last thing I usually am because I hardly have time to be this thing. Let's go with chips. Jake, guys, my spellings are awful. Let's go with soda. I don't know, like oats, a meal. There we go. This is not in your favorite foods. This is not in your favorite foods. Okay, this keeps saying this is not in your favorite foods. I should create a flag as well. Let me go ahead and create a flag. You can use a for loop. This is a waste of a while loop. It's not optimal. Oh, okay, actually, yeah. So for every food, I could ask, but then for like using a, can I use a range function here? Can I use like the range function? How many programming languages do you know? Honestly, I just know Python for now, but I am learning C++. That said, let's go with a control C, maybe copy that, get synthesis ChatGPT here. Let me paste it, go with shift enter and say sensei. I feel like I messed up again, dot dot dot, question mark. For with range, okay, if we can use range, that would make sense because I could go with like for every in range 5 or for every range of 5. That does make sense. Wait, okay, let's just read this. You did mess up again, but this time it's almost there. Here's what you failed. The search logic is still broken. You're still printing this is not your favorite food for every food that's the match. Example, foods equals to pizza, burger, taco. Search equals pizza, output. Yes, it is. Okay. This is an embarrassment to the C++ gods. Correct way to use a flag variable boolean found. Okay, I go with an if statement. Okay, that does make sense. One message, clean, precise. The break in your while loop is useless. You already stop when count is greater than. Okay, fails. That if count is less than or equal to 0, break line is redundant. Kill it. Good move. You rename food to count. I think I understand. Are you on TikTok? Honestly, yeah, I definitely want to like whatchamacallit, start streaming on TikTok as well. But that is once I get my actual PC because I do stream on multiple different platforms like Twitch, Kick, and YouTube at the same time. But my PC can't handle it right now because my PC is like a mini PC. But I'm going to be building like an actual gaming PC. Then I could stream on different places. For C++, for every integer I equals 0, comma, actually semicolon, I is less than 6, I plus plus. I see. Okay, so instead, I went with a this loop. So after I add a food, okay, string, enter a favorite food, I could go with something like a boolean variable that is going to be called something like found. I'll set that to be initially false because nothing has been found yet. And then foods.pushback favorite food. These adds my food inside of my empty vector. Okay. And then let me add an if statement here. If foods are, when does foods be true? Okay, so in this statement, I could go with something like if search equals to food, I could go with something like my found variable equals to true. Okay, there we go. Actually, this is going to be, yeah, found variable. I could get this outside my while loop. There we go, maybe under my count. Okay, that would make sense. You said you know Python, you should use like the in operator in Python to check the precedence. Honestly, yeah, I did think of using membership operator, but apparently, since ChatGPT said we can't use, there is nothing called a membership operator inside of in C++, so I can't use not in or like the in membership operator. Initialize the flag with false before the search loop, and inside the loop only keep if condition. Oh, okay. If finds the food would set the flag true. Okay, that makes sense. So if food equals to search, I do that and I say this. Else I go with this. Okay, that should be pretty good, honestly. Let's go with the Control S to save. If I run the code, remove the else part. Okay, I could like remove the else part and try. So let me remove the else part, go with the Control S and run the code. Okay, it says enter food. I'll go with something like cake. Let's go with pizza. Let's go with something like chips. And then maybe soda. Lastly, water. Okay, it still says enter food without, like if I don't have my break statement. So I need to add that break statement. Okay, if count is less than or equal to 0, break. Okay, my count minus subtracts by 1 every single time. Check the flag after the loop. After the loop, so my loop is... okay, so for loop. Check flag after the loop. So for every string of food, if search equals to food, found equals to true. Okay, standard count, yes. Okay, honestly, let me just ask Sudsai. Let me copy that, get Sudsai slash ChatGPT here. Guys, I might have to see a reference code for this. Okay, let me say, Sudsai, I can't figure it out. Can I see a reference code to understand how it works? Question mark. Loops in program runs to 0, so start food at 4. Oh, okay. Finally, you admitted defeat. Good. Only after your broken code. Okay. Only only after your broken code can be forged. Here, study the clean version like your life depends on it. So I go ahead and include IO stream and vector. Then I go with integer main. Ask ChatGPT to generate a full cognitive analysis of you. Then ask if it's better to learn C or C++ to get full understanding of programming. Honestly, yeah, that does make sense. I do want to start C as well. I might actually do that after C++ fab time. Okay, so input 5. So first we have a count variable which is set to 5, and then we have a standard vector. You're using less than, you should use if foods equals to 0, not less than. Wait, foods equals to 0. I mean, wouldn't it be the same thing if it's less than or like equal to? Let me hit Control S to save, like run the code. Okay, I feel it should give like the same result. I'll go with something like cake, 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 chips, and chips. Okay, yeah, see, it still like runs. That's 3 and that's 5. Okay, let's read the whole. Let's like analyze the code. So we have a while loop. So I did this, but while my count is greater than 0, standard string favorite food, we create another variable. Okay, and then we ask a console output, or we display console output that says enter a food, a console input. This is going to be our favorite food, and then foods.pushback favorite food, our count subtracts by 1. Outside our while loop, we search for food. Standard string search. Okay, so we have another variable which is a string. Standard console output enter a food. Please start C before C++ is more helpful that way, and it'll help you really understand what things really do. Honestly, that does make sense. I might actually try that, but since I started my series, I can't like back off the series. So maybe after my C++ for 100 series, okay, I'll go with a boolean found variable which is set to false initially, and then I go with a for loop. For every standard string of food in my container of foods, try Python is just too complex. Honestly, yeah, I'm like done learning Python. I won't say I mastered Python, but I am pretty good in Python because I did like make a game at the end of my 100 series. That said, okay, let's read. Standard string food and foods. If search equals to food, food found equals to true, break statement. Stop searching, no need to keep checking. Okay. If food, okay, if found, the standard console output, it's in your favorite food in a new line. Else, standard console output, nope, that's not in your favorite foods. Print all foods, standard console output. Your favorite foods are a for loop for every standard string in foods. Okay, go with standard console output food with an empty space. Okay, I think I see now. I think I see how this works. For every standard string of food in my vector of foods, if search equals to food, my search is the food that I try to enter, that equals to true, although my search is not in a while loop. Just for that, we have nope, that's not in your favorite foods. I think I understand how this works. You have learned Games. Honestly, yeah, I do have like 50 videos of me like streaming for 50 straight days just mastering Games concept. I did make a 470 lines code, like write a 470 lines code without ChatGPT slash Sensei, just like by memory and everything. And I did make a game for my 100 series. It is in my shorts actually. Okay, so I think I understand. Let me go ahead and delete the whole thing. I think I understand what I did wrong. It's fine to backtrack at this point. You'll need to type out things a bit more in C, but you can jump back to C++ in about 3 weeks once you know the basics. Honestly, I feel like I do know the general basics of programming. I just feel I need to get used to syntaxing. Change the text for the search variable, it can confuse you. Honestly, yeah, that does make sense. Okay, let me start off by including IOStream, and then let me go ahead and include vector as well. So let me include vector. Okay, next up, I typecast my main function to be an integer. Okay, maybe add a bunch of spaces. There we go. Okay, now let me go ahead and create a variable for my count. So I'll go with integer count. This is for like looping on how many times I want to ask the user to enter a food. Okay, next up, let me go ahead and add a while loop. So I'll go with while, a pair of parentheses, while my count is either less than 0. Okay, while my count is greater than 0. While my count is greater than 0, I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Actually, I'll go with the control Z. There we go. Okay, so now I do add my count variable to be equal to, let's say, 5, because I want to add questions 5 times. Okay, and then I go with something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like, enter your favorite food. Okay, enter your favorite food. Okay, bro, what are you building, by the way? Honestly, I'm just trying to master the basic syntax of C++ because I feel I understand the logic. I just can't type it out. Like in Python, I was so used to typing stuff out. If I could think something, I could just like type it out. But in C++, it is a bit different because I'm not used to syntaxing. These are two different languages. Bro, why not using namespace standard? Honestly, the reason I'm not using namespace standard is because it in the future, in like bigger projects, it could like cause name conflicts. So like, to avoid that, people usually prefer using standard console output. It is like a good practice. Calendar that with a semicolon. And then let me go ahead and add a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract something. Let's see. I could go with another variable for my food. So I could create that inside of my while loop. So I could go with something like favorite food. So like standard string. Okay, which is going to be called favorite food. Or I'll just go with fave food. Okay, perfect. I'll end that with a semicolon. This is going to be my fave food variable. But honestly, I think your ChatGPT stuck in printing and entering. Just try him. You want to learn every keyword and give me a task to solve for every keyword in C++. Honestly, I did that like I think like 4 streams ago. Bro, you know the logic, but you need a slightly deeper understanding because you have learned programming in a language that's abstract major functionalities or function away. I think that does make sense actually. This is why C would help you more than C++ right now. Guys, I should honestly think about moving on to C because like I don't want to like back off my 100 series. At the same time, I do want to learn an order. In this AI era, you should master Python rather than jumping different languages every time. Honestly, the reason I do move on to separate languages is because I don't know which language I enjoy the most right now. So like, if I enjoy like some other language more than something else, I could like stick with that. But I do want to explore for the time being. ChatGPT is a limb, and because of the history, you'll do forever the same things. Honestly, I should move on to different like ways to learn. That said, let me go ahead and do something else. So I went with a standard string of favorite food, standard console output. Enter your favorite food. Okay, once I enter the favorite food, I'll go with my foods as vector. Okay. Honestly, for that, I should create a vector. So let me go with a standard vector of food. Okay. There we go. Standard vector of, let's say, food. Actually, of integer. Okay, this is going to be called foods. Okay, perfect. Next up, I could append something. So let's go with the pushback. So I'll go with my foods as vector dot the push underscore back function. Okay, I want to push back something. I want to push back my favorite food. Alright, perfect. Next up, I do need to add a break. Okay, I pushed back my favorite food from here in my vector of foods. Why does it show a red underline? Standard console input. Are you don't start C, continue C++ till you finish. You said your goal is to create a game with C++. Honestly, yeah, my goal is to create a game in general with which consists of artificial intelligence for my programming for 250 series. My C++ for 100 series is like indented inside of my programming for 250 series. Are you going to use C++ in Unreal Engine at all? Honestly, I didn't learn much or like research much about engines. I thought about Unity, but somebody said that uh, the coding language for Unity is like C harsh, so I think I should use Unreal or like different game engines. Okay, let's see. So foods.pushback. My foods is vector.the push underscore back function. Why can't I push back? Okay, let's think. Standard vector which only consists of integers. Okay, I think I know why. This should be standard string. There we go. Okay, because my food that I'm adding is a standard string. Alright, next up okay, let's go with my count variable. So I'll go with count minus minus. Alright, perfect. Okay, what was the next instruction? Let's see. The instructions are way too up. There we go. Okay, so store them in a vector. Did that. After input is done, ask the user to enter a food to search for. Okay, so after my this thing is done, I gotta ask the user. So I gotta create another variable. So let's go with something like a standard string, which is going to be called something like search. Okay, and then let's add a standard console output. So I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like enter a food to search. Okay, there we go. I'll end that with a semicolon, and then you should have instructional tracks if any while doing this, friend. Honestly, I do have like instructions here. So like the challenge asks the user to enter stuff. I usually do get instruction based questions. Man, if he continues in C++, he doesn't gain much knowledge, although he can finish that game he wants to make. Starting C will allow him to rapidly grasp C++. Oh, he comes from Python anyway. I might actually think about that, guys, because I could like learn both languages. Okay, honestly, it's not recommended. I do want to like stick to one language until I don't like master or get a good idea of that before moving. Okay, there we go. This is about a search. Now let's add a if statement. Although before my if statement, I could go with like a variable, a boolean variable called found, which is going to be equal to no, instrumental. Is that different from like instructional? Oh, they're different words. My bad, guys. Okay, this is going to be set to false. There we go. Next up, let's go ahead and add a if statement now. Okay, so although before my if statement, I could add a for loop. So I can go with like for a pair of parentheses. Let's say for every okay, I gotta search something now. Okay, so let me iterate over my vector. So for every for every standard string of food in my vector of foods, so in my vector of foods, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then remember me. Honestly, I do remember you, Nit. Is it pronounced as Nitar9? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, bro, for real, go to V3 schools and do their training instead of ChatGPT. You didn't even set up ChatGPT good enough for training. Honestly, that does make sense, guys. I should like research more, but I don't have enough time because of my college. Once my college ends, I might have more time to do research on this. That said, for every standard string of food in my container of foods, let's see. I could go with something like an if statement. So if a pair of parentheses, if my search variable equals to my food, okay, I do something. Let's see, I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Don't let these people discourage you. I also learned C a little when at university and I didn't end up mastering it. Just continue with C++. Honestly, yeah, that does make sense. I do want to like stick with the language before I move on. With that said, if my search equals to food, I'll go with something. I'll add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to say something like, this is your favorite food! Exclamation. In my opinion, you already know the basic. Just start making the game you want and learn C++ alongside. Honestly, that does make sense. I do understand the basics of loops and everything. I'm just trying to master these syntaxes so I could like do it like on will, because I usually the only thing that like actually tricks me from like Python and C++ is the syntaxes, like when to add a like pair of curly braces and like a pair of parentheses and all that. Yup, ChatGPT actively makes mistakes and is not capable of maintaining logic across entire projects. The debugging time alone is insane, especially in languages like C++ and C. Honestly, that does make sense. When I was like making my 450 lines or 470 lines code, ChatGPT slush since they did make so many mistakes while teaching it, but ChatGPT was pretty good when it came to like teaching basics like stuff like these. When it comes to writing like long code that is like 400 lines or everything, that's when ChatGPT does make mistakes. But I think ChatGPT's foundation is pretty good on basics. While you master syntax, you should consider using agile practices. That does make sense. I could like try that. Okay, so if search equals to food, I print that. Let's go with an else clause now. Else a pair of curly braces. I'll go with something like standard console output. This isn't your okay, this isn't your favorite food! Exclamation. Actually, I'll go with a full stop. Okay, there we go. I could add like an insertion operator of a / new line and even an insertion operator of a / new line here. Okay, there we go. Okay, next up I'll end that with a semicolon. The syntax is exactly what C teaches you. All the questions you have regarding syntax, C shows you that every single thing has a reason. Oh, I see, and shows you exactly why things are written a certain way. That does make sense, honestly. Okay, so I go with a static console output. Okay, so if the food is found, print that. If it's not found, print this. Okay, finally print all foods in the vector. Okay, if it is found, okay, I'll go with my found variable. I'll set that equal to true. And guys, I feel like look at a lot of the chat. I'm getting so distracted. Like I forgot about adding a food here. Oh my gosh, Claude is expensive. I thought Claude was free, honestly. Boolean found equals to true. Yeah, guys, I couldn't pay attention. I've been focusing on the chat. Okay, if search equals to food, found equals to true, and then I just remove this for now. There we go. Okay, and then I even remove this. Let me add another if statement here. So let's go with another if statement. If my found variable is set to true. So can you please explain the difference between the two types of statements that go in the loop of parentheses? One of them 3 separated by colon. Do you mean like these, like the standard console output and standard console input? Basically, the standard console output with an insertion operator, it's a regular text that shows in your terminal. Although if you want to get a input from the user, if you want to extract something from the user, you go with a standard console input. Input is what the user writes in the terminal, like what's your favorite food? I write this food. This is my search variable. Okay, and the semicolon is just like to end a line. Okay, okay, if my found is set to true, I'm gonna do something. I'll go with a standard console output. Okay, with an insertion operator, this is gonna say something like, that is your fave food. Okay, I'll fix this to is. Okay, guys, I should like hurry up. I've been wasting so much time. Okay, let me go with a / new line, and then let's go with an else clause. Else a pair of curly braces. I'll go with another standard console output with an insertion operator. This is gonna say something like, this is not your fave food. Are you in school or what? Honestly, I'm in college. That's the reason I don't have like enough time to stream, because like before I used to like stream for 6 hours or like 5 hours at least every single day. That said, ever since I got college, I have like exams like almost like so often, so I gotta like study for it. Okay, else I print that. Okay, this should honestly make a lot of sense now. Lastly, I loop over my entire vector, so let's go with the for loop now. I'll go with for a pair of parentheses for every standard string of food. If food console output found, else not found. Yeah, that does make sense. Okay, C++ is basically a wrapper for C and the added functionalities of classes. You can synthesize classes in C, but C++ makes it easy to generate. That's it. Oh, I see. Okay, let's see. So let's go with for every standard string of food, for every standard string of food in my vector of foods. Okay, I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my food variable with another insertion operator of an empty space. Okay, perfect. Next up, let me go ahead and add another standard console output for a new line. So I'll go with standard console output with an insertion operator of a / new line. He means it for dot 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 in a for loop. For each loop, Python is definitely wrapper. Not everyone is programming operating system kernels and microcontrollers, so C isn't that important. I see. Okay, so I go with a standard console output. That's basically pretty much it. Let me return 0. Okay, maybe like delete these extra spaces. If I would hit Control S and run the code, guys, the moment of truth, does it work? A lot of people program embedded systems. Okay, line 42 has an error in it. Let's check. Okay, let's go with line 42. Did I end my else clause? I did that mistake once. Okay, there. Now if I run the code, actually I gotta hit Control S to save. Okay, now if I run the command. I code in Java and Python. That honestly sounds pretty cool. I do want to start Java. Okay, so enter your favorite food. Let's go with my favorite food. A lot of people, but not everyone. Do you know about enhanced for loop? Honestly, no. What's it about? Let me go with cake, chips. Guys, I should have went with a colon space. This is going to be soda, water, and I don't know, maybe cherry. Enter a food to search. Okay, now this loop ended, so this is food to search. Let's go with, I don't know, dumplings. Or dumplings. How do you spell dumplings? I went with dumplings, guys. Okay, let's go with the controller control C, copy that. You need to learn design patterns to have more success. Honestly, I might do that. That sounds pretty fun. Okay, let's get Sensei / ChatGPT here. Guys, I can't believe I typed dumplings. How do you even spell dumplings? Okay, Sensei, I feel like I did it correctly this time. He needs to learn C for more success. Okay, haha, Vivek, I'm gonna be honest, you didn't. I didn't. You're so close, but you still screwed up the search logic and loop structure. Let me break it down. You're printing inside the loop right now. Every single food you print, that's your favorite food, or this is not your favorite food. That depends on the whole purpose of using the found flag. You nested the print loop and return inside the for loop. Your for every standard string of food and foods and return 0 are inside the search loop, is it? This kills the program after the first interaction, so you'll never finish searching properly. The flag is, excuse me guys, the flag is uselessly checked inside the loop. Okay, the point of found is to declare after the search, not during it. Here's what you need to do. Loop through all foods only to set the flag after the loop ends. Use a single if/else if to print whether it was found or not. Then print the vector. Oh, wait, did I add my return inside of my... Okay, I think that was the mistake that I did here. Okay, so let me go ahead and add my vector outside my for loop. Why is my for loop like so here? There we go. Okay, now I add a pair of parentheses here. There we go. Wait, my for loop begins there. Did I mess up somewhere again? Do you know C++? And if so, you teach me. Honestly, eventually, once I'm pretty good with this, I do want to make tutorial video for you guys. That's the reason I'm even like working real hard, because I do know that many people actually struggle with programming, so I do want to like help them. So let's go with Control Shift. There we go. Real programmers manipulate the electrons on the CPU directly. Assembly isn't low level enough. I see. Vivek, just ask ChatGPT if you should start learning C or C++ right now. They could ask that. Why not assembly over C? I've heard assembly is real complicated, guys. Okay, honestly, I do wanna, let me like actually okay, guys, where did my chats go? Should I like restart ChatGPT? I do want to copy the reference code. There we go. Okay, I do want to copy the reference code 1 and see how stuff works. Like what's the difference between my code and this reference code here? So I could like copy this once to just check the code how it works. I'll go with Control A, Control V. I'm good at Python and Java, just not C++. Okay, let me go with the Control S. Like run the command. Okay, so it says enter a food. Let's go with something like chips. Okay, I don't know. I'll go with something like cake. pizza, I don't know, hamburger, hot dog. Okay, never mind. Enter a food to search for. I'll go with something like, I don't know, hot dog. Okay, is hot dog in my list? Nope, that's not in your favorite foods list. What if I went with something that was in my favorite foods list? I'll just fill this up with chips. Let's just go with multiple chipses. Chips, chips, chips. Okay, enter a food to search. I'll search chips. Okay, yes, it is in your favorite foods list. Didn't I do the exact? Didn't I like get the exact same result that this is showing? The last loop should have been outside. Oh wait, let me go with a bunch of Control Z's. Okay, this is my previous loop. Okay, the one problem that I had is, what is this? What is this for? Am I inside my while loop? My while loop ends here. Okay. Oh wait, this is inside of my for loop. So my initial for loop. Okay, let me end that there. Okay. Maybe I go with shift tab. So like shift tab to de-indent this. Enclose the entire program in a while loop to prevent running it every time. And close the entire while loop. The flag check should also be outside. Okay, the flag check is outside, and then this is where my for loop ends. So my for loop does end here, and then I go with if found. I do this, else Okay, and then I have another for loop here that prints my vector. Why is that showing like a red underline there? My main function is right here, my first while loop. Okay. Did I? Oh, there we go. I think I missed a semicolon. Okay, we're good, guys. We're good. Let me go with the controller. Save the code. Run the command. Enter a food. Before I enter a food, I want to fix my, whatchamacallit, my display here. There we go. Let me go with the controllers now. Okay, now if I run the command, it says enter a food. Let's enter something like chips. It's okay now. Perfect, guys. At one semicolon. Let's go with cake, pizza, hamburger, hot dog. Okay, there we go. Now search for a food. I could search for something like water. Water is not in your favorite foods list. I think it works. I think it's pretty good. Do you know what he wants to ultimately do, Andrew? C is a procedure, again, differently beast. Oh, I see. Okay, let me copy that. Get it here. Alright, guys, I feel it works now. Okay. So let's say I was just missing a semicolon. We're good now. You should use standard endline instead of new line. Honestly, I used to use standard endline so much, but somebody was like, it's not recommended to use standard endline, so I moved on to standard new line. But I do feel like endline sounds much better. Yes, fine, Vivek. Now you're fighting clean. No flag. The flag logic is perfect. The if/else decision is done for the search loop. No spammy content. You print the vector contents correctly. No more premature return 0. Okay, let me say. Let's say. Can I get another instructional based question exactly like this question mark? I need more practice. You guys, practice makes perfect. Let's see. Vivek, I like your hunger. Alright, let's not hold back. Here's another vector plus while loop if/else challenge. Pay attention, this one slaps harder. Okay, the challenge. Ask the user to enter 7 favorite numbers, use a while loop, store them in a standard vector integer. After input, ask the user to enter a number to check, search the vector. If number exists, print yes, the number is in your favorite. Okay. If not, print this number is not in your favorites. Finally, print all numbers in the vector, but also print the sum of all numbers. Okay, this is going to be fun. This question will force you to use a while loop for input, use a vector for storage, use a flag for searching, combine vector traversal, is that how you pronounce it, with a sum calculation. Okay, let me get sensei there. Endel is better for portability reasons, i.e. different environments. Okay, that does make sense, because I do prefer using endline, but somebody like, they practically forced me, guys. They were like, use newline because that's real good to like, that's like actually recommended. And like when I practice, I prefer going with the recommended stuff for like good practices. That said, I will go with endline from now. Okay, so I'm going to start off by including IO stream. And then let me go ahead and include vector as well. Okay, let me go ahead and include vector. There we go. Okay, next up, let me typecast my main function to be an integer. Okay, maybe add a bunch of spaces. This will stop him from vibe coding like how he is now. He does not understand what he's trying to do because he doesn't understand what's happening under the hood. Honestly, I think I do understand like what's happening. The reason I ask for help is because the topic is new. Eventually, I do like a lot of practice questions, and like I don't enjoy the concept of vibe coding because I don't like to like use a code in my program that I don't understand how it works. In the other hand, if I understand how it works, that's like a whole different case, guys. Okay, so let me start off by going with integers. So what did the instructions say? Ask the user to enter 7 favorite numbers. So I could go with something like integer of fave number. Okay, I'll set that equal to, actually nothing, I'll just end that with a semicolon. GPA helps if he directs it to an explanation of code snippets and not code generation. Honestly, the reason I just ask for a reference code sometime is to like actually read the code and understand how it works. You can change the existing code. It's almost the same, just data types and also the one loop. Oh, I see. Okay, so first I'll go with integer of favorite number, and then what else did I need? Store them in a standard vector of integers. I could go with something like standard vector, which only consists of integers. You should do some lead code easy questions. They are all a bit too similar to each other to be useful. Honestly, I'm so excited to start learning lead code because like after my programming for 250 series, I was planning to like make another series where I have a whole playlist of me just grinding lead code. I was saving that for then. That's the reason I like don't use lead code right now. Okay, this is going to be called numbers. Okay, perfect. And then next up, let me go ahead and add a while loop now. So I'll go with a while loop. Oh no, he just said he wants deep understanding of what he's doing. Tell me how C won't better show him that. Honestly, guys, eventually I am going to be I'm going to be learning like all programming languages to understand or like to get or know which I enjoy the most. I will be eventually going to C as well. Okay, let's see. So I'll go with a while loop. So I'll go with something like a count variable as well. Favorite numbers could be under that. I'll go with count. I'll set that equal to 0, and then I'll go with something like while, a pair of parentheses, while my count variable is greater than 0. Okay, this is going to be 7, honestly. Okay, let me go to Control Z. There we go. Because I do got to ask user for 7 favorite numbers. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Endel always uses new line, never /r/n. I see. Endel isn't better for different environments. The only difference is that it flushes can be bad for perf in big codes bases, but I'd be worried if you were using standard console output in big code base anyways. Oh, I see. Okay, guys, I should like stop reading the chat and like focus on my code. I forget the instructions. Okay, let's go with a standard console output. Okay, with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like, in my opinion, all languages are the same. Learning about the basics. He's not going to be doing pointer arithmetic or using template generics at this level. C++ and C is not really that different. I see. Okay, so I'll go with a standard console output that's going to be saying something like, enter a favorite number. Okay, fave number. Okay, and then let me go ahead and add a integer as well. So I'll go with something like a integer of fave number. Okay, I'll not set that equal to anything for now. After my standard console output, I'll go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. This is going to be my fave number. There we go. But Windows requires /r and /n, while Linux is just n. Honestly, guys, since I am getting a PC, do you guys recommend me getting Linux or like Windows? Because I do need to add it like an operating system or something. Okay, should I get Linux or Windows, guys? Windows works with /n. It handles it. The standard line ending for Windows is /r/n, but it's not required. Not from 0 base. I see. Okay, next up. That's an integer number. Once I add a number, I want to append that inside of my vector. So let's go with a for loop. Instead, I could go with my numbers as vector. Dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back my fave number. Okay, my favorite number variable. I prefer Linux. You can always dual boot. Honestly, I've never heard of dual booting. Is it like we can use Windows and Linux at the same time? Okay, because I was pretty confused. Somebody else did recommend me to like get Linux when I like when I'm buying like a key or something. I don't know about I don't know much about it, but I will definitely like either stream myself or like record myself building my PC. Pretty excited for that. With that said, after inputs, ask the user to enter a number to check. Okay, so store them in a standard favorite number. Did that. Okay, search the vector. If number exists, print yes, that number is in your favorites. If it doesn't exist, print nope, that number is not in your favorites. So I could go with something like after the input, ask the user to enter a number to check. So I could go with something like an integer of search. Okay, I'll set that equal to nothing. Okay, and then let's go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting something. Let's say enter a number to check if it's your fave. Okay, enter a number to check if it's your favorite. Yes, you'll get to pick which you boot into when you start your computer. Linux will also teach you Bash. That sounds pretty fun. You would have used the last problem code, just edit the data type and at last use variable sum. Honestly, yeah, the reason I like added a new code is like I always prefer like typing my code out when I'm learning, so like I understand how it works, because the more I type something, the more I understand how the concepts work. Okay, with that said, let's go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. This is going to be my search variable. Okay, and then after this, I should honestly go ahead and create a boolean variable, which is going to be called found. This is going to be a flag variable. I'll set that equal to false by default. Okay, there we go. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and add an if statement now. Digital systems are funner than software anyways, lol. Honestly, I don't know much about that. I should like research on that. Okay, so I'll add an if statement now. Let's go with, before I add an if statement, let me go with a for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, for every integer of number in my vector of numbers, okay, I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and inside my curly braces, I could type something like, let's see, a if statement. So if a pair of parentheses, if my search variable equals to my num, then I'm gonna do something. I'll add a pair of curly braces and then go with my found variable, my boolean variable. I'll set that equal to true. Okay, because a number has been found. Okay, and then let's add another if statement now. I'll go with if a pair of parentheses, if found is set to true, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add a standard console output with an insertion operator. There we go. This is going to be saying something. Let's say something like, this is your favorite number. Fave number. Exclamation. I will be ending that with a insertion operator of a standard end line. Okay, there we go. It's going to be endl. Okay, I could add a end line here as well. So let me go with another insertion operator of a standard end line. Alright, perfect. I could add one here as well. So I'll go with an insertion operator of a standard end line. Alright. Okay, I just need like one semicolon. There we go. So standard end line. Okay, there we go. Okay, lastly, let me go ahead and this is your favorite number. Let's go with an else clause actually. I'll go with like an else clause, a pair of curly braces. You can work on Dart. I've never heard of that. What's Dart? No, break it in the if. Now, React if you're doing that way, lol. Break it in the if. Break it in the if. Okay, I'll go with else if, a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like, let's see. Let's say this is not your favorite. Keep the if outside your for loop. Oh, keep it outside? Okay, I could try that. Let me keep it outside my for loop. Okay, so my for loop ends right here. Let me just go with the Control Z, because I usually mess up on like deleting stuff. There, I like delete everything from here. There we go. So this is my if statement. That's my for loop. Now outside my for loop, I could go with the if statement. Okay, maybe go with like a shift tab to like de-indent. Okay, I go with like a standard console output. This is not your favorite number. Your fave number. Hey babe, how are you doing? Vanya, is that how you pronounce the name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, I'll go with another insertion operator. This is going to be a standard end line. Okay, perfect. I'll end that with a semicolon. Okay, with that said, that's basically pretty much it. Let me go ahead and return 0. Okay, he does not. Do you know FP? Does FP stand for Facebook page or something, guys? I'm really stupid when it comes to stuff like this. That said, if I were to save the code and run the command, it says enter a favorite number. I could enter a number. Honestly, let me remove the end line from here. Enter a favorite number. Okay, let me remove the insertion operator of a end line here. Okay, now let me hit Control S and run the code. Add a break after setting flag true to avoid unnecessary loops. I did. I do think the loop is going to eventually end. I could like try that. So let's go with a few numbers. I'll go with like 23 and then like 59. I don't know, like 2, 3, 4, 66, 67, 68. Does the number never end? Okay, if it's true, okay, I could try the break. Let's go with break. Okay, functional programming. Honestly, I've never heard of functional programming. Let me copy that and run the command again. I should actually learn so many more things and research so many more things. Once my college over, I'll have way more time than I have right now, guys. Let's go with 99 and like 79, 87, 54, 43. That's more than 7 numbers. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this should be the 7th number. Okay, I could go with a break inside while my count. Oh, okay, now my bad, guys. I forgot to minus my count. There we go. Okay, so count minus minus. Okay, now this should decrease my counts as this thing. I might remove the break from here real quick. Let's go with the Control S to save if I were to run the command. Now I gotta add numbers, so I'll go with something like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, let's go with 99. There we go. Okay, now it ends. Perfect. You have joined university. Honestly, I'm still in college. I'm like doing a few college courses. Okay, enter a number to check your favorite number. I'll go with something like 55. It's not your favorite number. Okay, perfect. Let's go with the Control-C. Let me copy that. Let's get sensei/ChatGPT here. Let me paste it. Go with Shift-Enter and say, let's say, I feel like I understand how this works now. ... Although I did get a little help from my chat. Okay, I write OCaml in my job. That actually sounds pretty fun. Huh, Vivek, finally you're getting it. I see the light in your code, so you correctly took the input with a while loop, stored number in a vector, used a flag variable to track whether printed all numbers, minor improvements, just polishing, nothing broken. You can also calculate the sum. I forgot all about calculating the sum. Okay, this wouldn't have been that hard, honestly. Your for a, instead of using UR, use your for a clean professional output. Okay, I usually use YOUR. The reason I use your is because I thought you guys wouldn't be able to see my text. What major are learning in college? Honestly, for now, I'm not like going with any majors. I'm just taking my basic classes. That said, eventually, I do want to either be a cybersecurity or like an AI engineer, but I haven't started learning programming on my college yet. Okay, chat helped. Who cares? The concept is now yours, and that's what matters. If you want, I can throw another one, but this time we add a nested loop with vector manipulation. That does sound fun. Let's say, okay, sensei. Okay, let's see. Okay, guys, last time I did struggle a lot with like nested loops. Let's see if I improved. Alright, Vivek, time to level up into Elite Warlock mode. Okay. The challenge: ask the user to enter 5 numbers and store them in a standard vector of integer. Ask the user to enter another number, call a target. Now, use nested loop to find all pairs of numbers in the vector that sum up to the target. Okay, use nested loops to find all pairs of numbers in the vector that sum up to the target. For example, 2, 3, 5, 7, 1 and target is 8. Pair 3 plus 5 is 8, 7 plus 1 is 8. Oh, I see. Print each pair as pair found x plus y equals target. If not, okay, if not found, print no pairs sum up to target. Okay, what you will practice: nested for or while loops, vector traversal, conditional logic, combining loops with real problem solving. Okay, this is going to be trickier, guys. Let's go with a Control-A, delete everything. Let me start off by including IOStream. Let me include IOStream, a pair of ankle braces. Okay, IOStream. And then let me go ahead and include vector as well. And guys, I have honestly no idea how I'm going to solve this question because I've honestly never did a question like this. That said, let me go with an integer main, typecast my main function to be an integer, go with a pair of curly braces. And then let's see, so the first instruction says ask the user to enter 5 numbers and store them in a standard vector which only consists of numbers. Ask the user to enter another number. Okay, so first I could go with something like an integer variable for my count. So I'll go with integer count, which is going to be equal to 5 because I'm going to be asking the user 5 times. And then I could go with a standard standard vector which only consists of integers. So a pair of ankle braces which consists of integers. My vector is going to be called numbers. Okay, I'll end that with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and add a while loop. So I'll go with while, a pair of parentheses. While my count variable is greater than 0, I'm going to be adding a pair of curly braces and doing something. Okay, let's see, what all do I want to do? Firstly, I want to go with a standard console output with an insertion operator and say something like enter a number for target. There we go. And then I could like add a variable or like create a variable. So I could go with something like integer target. I'll set that equal to, actually I'll not set that equal to anything. If you know that you're only going to ever read 5 in numbers, is better practice to use an array. Honestly, I haven't learned about arrays. My next stream might be on arrays in that case, because I like many people did like say me to like start using arrays and everything, but I haven't like learned anything about it. I might have to watch a few tutorials off stream, and then like next stream I actually might go over arrays. That's like a pretty good idea. Okay, I'll go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my target. Also, count stands for character output. Oh, somebody said me it stands for console output, guys. Arrays are fixed length vectors. Oh, I see. Guys, for the C out, someone said me that stands for console output. It's sometimes, that's the reason I should research instead of like blindly trusting, guys. Okay, so I'll go with a standard character output and a standard character input. Okay, perfect. Now use nested loop to find all pairs of numbers in the vector that sum up to target. Okay, now use nested loop. So maybe inside of my while loop, I could go with something like a variable called I. So I could create something like integer of I equals to 1. Actually equals to 0. Then, okay, let's go with another while loop now. So I'll go with while, a pair of parentheses. So while my I... honestly, I actually might ask Sensei for help with this because I don't know how to find what two numbers in a vector equals to that number. Really, C out stands for C out. That's just what I found when googling, but that other person may have been right too. Oh, I see. So we could like use both. Okay, let me copy that. Get Sensei here. Okay, let me paste it. Go with Shift Enter and say Sensei. I just realized I don't know how to check if two numbers are equal to the target. Do we use a formula? Can you explain this question to me? Okay, let's see. Hey, I'm finally back. Long time, right? How are you doing, Hypertech? I appreciate you joining this stream. It's been really long, honestly. Oh, Vivek, listen carefully. This is where most people crash and burn. You don't need a formula, you need a pairwise comparison. Let me break it down. What we're doing, you have a vector of numbers. These are the numbers. You have a target that says number 8. You want all pairs of numbers in the vector whose sum equals the target. How to think about it, you need to use loops nested. Outer loop picks the first number, okay, in the pair. Inner loop picks the second number. The one after the first number don't repeat. Okay, if number at index of 1 plus number at index of j equals to target. Okay, no formula needed, just add the two numbers and compare the target. Example, numbers equals to target equals to 8, first number equals to 2, check with 3, 5, 7 and 1, 2 plus 3 equals 5, 2 plus 5, okay, no match. First number 3, check 5, 7, 1, 3 plus 5 equals 8. Pair found. First number 5. Check 7, 1. 5 plus 7. 12. 5 plus 1. 6. And so on. See, no formula. Just add check. Okay, so I just gotta add a check. This is actually a lead code problem. Lol, it's called 2 sums. Oh, I see. Sensei threw you in the deep end. Guys, I don't know. I feel these are like basic questions that I'm trying to figure out. Okay, maybe I think I need to drink some water, guys, for my brain to start working. I think I'm not hydrated enough. Hey, there we go. I missed my coffee, honestly. I am trying to reduce drinking coffee, though. Okay, standard console output. Enter a number. Okay, so this is enter a target. So now, the outer loop. So, it says outer loop, pick the first number in the pair. Inner loop, pick the second number, the one after the first. Okay, so outer loop and inner loop. Okay, so let's go with outer loop and inner loop. So that is my outer loop. Outer loop picks the first number. Okay, so how does my outer loop pick the first number? I might have to ask that. Okay, let's say I feel like I understand it in theory, although I can't figure out how to phrase the syntax. ... Okay, I don't understand how to phrase the syntax. Exactly, Vic. You understand the idea. Now we need to turn that idea into C++ code. Here's how you structure it. Okay. So we go with a for loop. Pick the first number. Okay, so for every integer of I. Okay, for every integer of I which equals to 0. Okay. I've never done a for loop question like this where like I add integer I equals to 0, semicolon, I is less than number dot size, I plus plus. Okay. Notes the outer loop goes through each number once, inner loop starts one after the outer loop index, prevents repeating pairs or adding number itself if the condition is exactly what we discussed. Okay, let me say, okay Vivek, now here's the real test. I want you to write a full program. Ask the user for 5 numbers in a vector. Target number, use nested loop to print all pairs that sum to the target. Okay, I could like look at this reference code, although I don't want to copy it, but I could like write it a few times to see if I understand what this means, because I've never gone through questions like that. That said, let's see. First, I do need a while loop for like asking. So I ask the user using a while loop, so I will remove the I from there. And now, instead of going with a while loop, maybe I go outside my while loop. Okay, these numbers should append inside of my numbers. Wait, hold up. Enter a number for target. Okay, so let's think. What is going to be my target? This could be my number only. So let's go with number. And then number. I could go with something like my numbers is vector dot the push underscore back function. Okay, I want to push back my number. Okay, perfect. So now I first add 5 numbers that goes inside of my numbers is vector. And then outside my while loop, I end that with a semicolon. I could go with something like my count minus minus. There we go. Excuse me guys, now outside my while loop, I can go with a, let's say something like a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be my target. So let me create a variable first. I'll go with a standard, actually I'll go with an integer of, let's say, what's my variable going to be called? Target. And then I go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be something like, this is going to be standard. There we go. Okay, so a standard console output, which is going to be saying something like enter a target. And guys, why is everything lagging? Is my stream going to start lagging again? There we go. I'll end that with a semicolon, and then let's add a standard console input with an extraction operator. I'm going to be extracting something. Let's extract my target variable. Yep, guys, stream is definitely lagging. Let me check if like everything's... Where's my mouse pointer at? There we go. Okay, let me check if the lag is affecting my stream's quality. Okay, never mind. Alright, so I go with standard console input targets, and then now I check something. So I go with a for loop. So let's go with for a pair of parentheses. For every, let's say, integer of number in my vector of numbers, I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's add something. Oh my gosh, guys. I've been wearing this, but then it feels kind of hot in my hands. Let me change it on my other hand. Okay, so for every integer of number in my vector of numbers, now I do the nested loop stuff. So my this condition could be something like, let's change this real quick. For every integer, guys, I am copying this part because I want to figure out how to write it. So for every integer, wait, let me change that to target. There. For every integer equals to 0, so I go with a for loop, I create a I variable which is an integer which consists of integer. That integer is 0. I go with a semicolon, and then I go with I is less than number. Is this considered a conditional expression, guys? I go with I less than number. You should use indices rather than numbers. It'll be helpful for next parts. Indices. Honestly, I think I am going to be using like indexes, because like numbers at index of I, numbers at index of j. Wait, hold up. I think I understand what this means. Hold up, guys. Let me write it real quick. I think I understand what this means. Okay, let's go with my numbers dot the size function. There we go. For every integer, for every I which equals to 0, I is less than my number dot size. I'll go with I plus plus. Okay, with another semicolon. Actually, this doesn't require a semicolon. There we go. And then I go with a nested for loop, which is right here. I'll go with for a pair of parentheses. That's for my first number. This is numbers dot size. I plus plus. I equals to 0, so I starts with 0. Okay, next up I go with for every integer j. So I create another integer which is called j. I set that equal to I plus 1. I plus 1. Okay, I think I'm understanding this. I just can't phrase it properly. Okay, I go with j less than number dot size. Okay, so j less than my numbers is vector dot the size function. There we go. Then I add a semicolon here. Then I go with j plus plus. My j variable always increases by 1. And then I go with an if statement inside of my second for loop, inside of my inner for loop. So I go with if, and then add a pair of parentheses. My if statement says if my number at index of I plus my number at index of j equals to target. So I'll go with if my numbers is vector at index of I equals to my, actually plus my numbers is vector at index of j equals to my target. Okay, I do something. I'll go with a pair of parentheses, curly braces actually. I'll go with a standard console output. So standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like pair found numbers at index of I plus numbers at index of j equals to target. Now we are passionate for programming. There is a site I use to program exercises. It's fully free. I appreciate you. I love Flippy. Honestly, I do want to try different websites. I might have a whole different series on those, like trying different websites and everything. Okay, so let's go with my numbers at index of I. Okay, let's go with plus my numbers at index of j. Let's go with my numbers as vector at index of j. Okay, I do need to add an insertion operator here. There we go. Maybe I leave that extra space. Then let's add another insertion operator. Unfortunately, it's not English, but you could use it with the browser powered translation. But if you want, I highly recommend it. Honestly, if it's helpful, I might try it off stream, like once I'm done with my college stuff. Because I feel like as soon as I wake up these days, I start learning for my college stuff, and then I don't have enough time to like practice anything in general. Okay, although I should like remove a lot of time. Okay, it would look better if I had spaces here. There we go. Okay, this is going to be with another insertion operator of my target variable. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion operator of a /new line. Okay, with that said, the inner loop, I think I understand what's going here. I just need more practice. Bro, what's your sleeping time? Honestly, these days, sometimes if I have like a lot of homework for my college, I do sleep like after 1 a.m. or something. That said, I usually prefer sleeping before 10 p.m. because, you know, I do want to get my 8 hours. Okay, let's see. Then let me go ahead and return 0. Okay, perfect. If I would hit Control S, save the code and run the command, it's gonna say enter a number for target. I could enter something like 15. Enter a number for target. Why does it keep asking me number for target? Okay, because I have number for target written here. There. Let me go with the Control S now. Now if I run the command, let's go with something like 12, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, oh, target is 6. 1 plus 5, 6. Okay, it does work. It actually does work, but I don't take credit for this whatsoever. But I do understand. It is pretty good. Add break. Honestly, I did add a condition that eventually breaks the code. So if my count variable is greater than 0, then my while loop stops running. Let's go to Control C. Now, I do want to go more over this part. So, let me actually get sensei/ChatGPT here. Let me paste it, go with Shift Enter and say, I understood the concept, although I need more practice with this part. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that part, and then go with Shift Enter, paste this part, Shift Enter again, and say, can I get a few instructional based questions one at a time, which requires this block of code question mark? If you understand it, explain it. Honestly, yeah, that's the reason like many people, they do say me like to be quiet and like code. I'm like, the reason I say it out loud is to like to explain it to you guys. Nested for loops look complicated as hell. Honestly, yeah. Okay, so basically what I understood from this is I have a few questions too. So I didn't know that we could create a integer variable inside of our for loop, so that's something new. And I end that with a semicolon. This should work something like a conditional expression. And then I check if this I variable is less than my number dot size. Okay, this part I didn't understand. If my I variable is less than my numbers dot size, the numbers dot size basically checks the amount, the elements, all the elements that are inside of my vector. If there are 8 elements, this returns 8. Okay. If my I is less than my numbers dot size, okay, that makes sense. So this is my first element. Okay, I think I understand. So for example, inside of my vector, if I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if my I is, it starts off as 0, which is my index 1, or like my index 0, which is going to be 1. Okay, and then it always increases by 1. So every iteration, it increases by 1. So it loops over all the separate elements inside of my loop. Okay, and then the second for loop, it does the same thing, but it adds I plus 1. Okay, and then if j is less than my numbers dot size, j plus plus. Okay, okay guys, actually I will be able to explain this in like, if I write this code 3 more times, because I feel I understand what this means now. Numbers at index of I, this is going to be the first number from my element plus the second number from my element. So this is at index of 1, I think. So j equals to I plus 1. This should be at index of 1, so like the second element. Okay, let me actually get sensei/ChatGPT here. Hold up, guys. Okay, question 1. Ask the user to enter 6 numbers and store them in a standard vector of integer. Ask the user for a target number. Use a nested loop to find all pairs of numbers that sum to the target. Extra twist, only print pairs where the first number is even. If no pairs match the criteria, print no matching pairs found. Okay, I think I can do this on my own, guys. I might have to look at the reference again for this, like for 3 or 4 questions, but I think I understand this. Put a print in the first for and a print in the second. You'll understand then. By print, do you guys mean I gotta add a standard console output? Does that even work like that? So I could go with like standard console output with an insertion operator of this. Is that how we use a print? Shift is n to maybe do sort. You know how to use. Okay, wait. Let me just try the new code. Okay, so let me start off by including IO stream. Guys, the way I usually learn is like when I first do a question, I don't understand a thing. If I keep doing like topics on that question, eventually I understand how it works. Yes, print C out whatever, bro. Yes, print console output, print whatever. Without sorting. Guys, it sounds so complicating when you guys like say it out. I think it's real easy. I should just understand what that means. Okay, the way I usually understand is by writing a lot of codes. Okay, second up, let me go ahead and add vector. Okay, next up, the first instruction says ask the user to enter 6 numbers and sort them in a standard vector which only consists of integers. So let me go ahead and add something like, let's say, let me typecast my main function to be an integer. So I'll go with integer main, which is only going to be consisting, yeah, sure, what, algo? Does algo mean like algorithms? Okay, there we go. So I go with an integer main. And then inside my main function, let's do something. Let me go ahead and add... Oh. Guys, let me drink some coffee. Maybe keep it down. Okay, so I go with an integer main. This is going to be something like an integer of, let's say, number. Okay, this could be count actually. So I'll go with count, which is going to be equal to 6 because I need to ask the user for 6 numbers. And then let me go ahead and add a standard vector with a pair of ankle braces. This vector is only going to be consisting of integers, and then I will be calling this vector numbers. Okay. Bro, if you set up a debugger, you could analyze your code so easy. Honestly, after the stream, I'll definitely like look into how to set up a debugger in VS Code because many people have been saying me that I should have done it before the stream because usually I prefer doing those stuff off stream instead of like on stream. Okay, next up, I gotta add a while loop, so I'll go with while a pair of parentheses while my count variable is greater than 0, okay, which it currently is 6, I'm going to be running a code or I'm going to be doing something. So a pair of curly braces and then let's go with a variable now. Okay, so I'll create a variable called, let's say numbers, so 6 numbers. So I'll go with an integer of number, okay, which is going to be not set to anything. I'll add a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like enter a number. Excuse me guys, enter a number. And also prefer to use a namespace standard. Honestly, yeah, many people did say me to like use namespace, but other people do say me if I use the like using namespace eventually in bigger projects, it would like add like name conflicts or like clashes because many libraries do use console output. Using a standard console output is like a better practice. Tell me if you need help off stream. Honestly, I definitely tell it. I appreciate the offer. Yo, hash map, but clever though. Yo, hash map. Honestly, I've never heard of hash map. Okay, so I go with a standard console output that says enter a number. I end that with a semicolon, and then let's add a standard console input with an extraction operator. This is gonna be my number variable. Okay, next up, let's see. Let me go ahead and do something else. So that is a while loop. I wanna append my number inside of my vector, so I could go with something like my numbers as vector dot the push underscore back function. This adds stuff at the end of my vector. This is gonna be my number variable. Okay, I'll end that with a semicolon. Lastly, I'll go with a count minus minus. Okay, ending with a semicolon. You're awesome, bro. I appreciate you. Do we pronounce your name as elderho.c? Yes, you're right, but in your case, using namespace is fine. I mean, honestly, I could use namespace, but I prefer going with the like good practice because like if you learn something wrong, it's like harder to like actually learn something else. So I prefer like going with the harder way when I start. Okay, so count. Okay, next up, ask the user for a target number. So outside my while loop, I could go ahead and create an integer called target. Okay, my target is gonna be let's see, it won't be set to anything. I will add a standard console output, so I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. So with all respect, why C++, not C or IDK Python? Honestly, the reason I went with C++ is because I've heard that C++ is like meant for games, and I did like do Python for 100 days series. That series ended like 14 days ago. My goal by the end of the Python for 100 days series was to make a game using Python. I did make a game, a 450 lines code of game using Pygames, and then I started a new series called Programming for 250 Days, where my goal by the end of the series is to make a game which consists of AI in it. And the C++ for 100 Days is like indented inside of the series, so that's the reason I'm learning C++. I want to actually explore different coding languages and see which I like the most, and then maybe stick to that. Okay, so I go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be something like this is going to say something like enter a target. Okay, and then I end that with a semicolon and then go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I want to extract my target variable. Okay, perfect. Next up, let me go ahead and add a for loop, I guess. Target. Okay, now let's add a for loop. This is where the nested loop goes. So the first for loop is going to be creating an integer variable which is going to be called I, that is going to be equal to 0. I'll end that with a semicolon and then I'll check if my I is less than my numbers as vectors size. So I could go with something like I do remember this part. Hold up. If my I is less than my numbers as vector dot the size function, okay, I go with a semicolon and I plus plus. My I is going to increase by 1 every time. Hi, just out of curiosity, are you a game dev? Honestly, I'm not like a game dev. I just wanted to like make. Actually, I did want to like actually be a software engineer as well. But that said, the reason I want to do that is to get a good grasp on how programming works. Because like making games is like almost full control. I did want to be a cybersecurity or like an AI engineer. That was like my main goal. But that said, I do like software engineering as well. Okay, okay, let's see. So this is the first for loop. So there we go. And then I go with another for loop, a nested for loop. So for a pair of parentheses, let's go with an integer of j this time. J is gonna be equal to my I variable plus 1. Okay, that's index 0. That's index 1. I'll end that with a semicolon and then go with my numbers dot the size function. Okay, numbers dot size. I will check if my j variable is less than my numbers dot size. If it is less than my numbers dot size, I'll go with j plus plus. Guys, I don't know how do I remember the code. I need to learn to explain it too. See, don't try to be fancy, just raw dog the memory. Honestly, guys, yeah, that's one thing. It's like I memorize the code before I can even understand it. Then I keep writing the code until I understand it. I plus plus would be slightly faster than plus plus I would be slightly faster than I plus plus here. Is there a difference between I plus plus or like plus plus I? I should ask that to Sensei. Okay, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces, but I do embed it, so yeah, you know. I see. Great to hear that I'm a game dev, by the way. That honestly sounds pretty cool and fun, Junkie. I do want to make different games, so I gotta learn the basics. Okay, so for every integer of j, I'll go with the if statement. So, if my pair of parentheses, so if my I variable plus my j variable, okay, if my I plus j equals to my target variable, I do something. I go with a standard console output. For every I, the j while entire go from 0 to number dot size. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. Alright, so for every I plus j, okay, if my I plus j equals to target, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to say something like, let's go with my numbers at index of I, okay, plus my numbers at index of j. Okay, I'll go with plus, so a pair of quotes, plus, so numbers at index of I plus numbers at index of j. I will be adding an insertion operator here, maybe another insertion operator here, is gonna give me the numbers at index of j with an insertion operator is gonna be equal to, so I'll go with equal to another insertion operator. This is gonna be my target variable. Okay, and then I'll go with another insertion variable of a standard end line. Alright, perfect. Guys, I don't even understand how I wrote this code because I understand what I did because I did write this out of memory. That said, I'm trying to understand what this means. I just need more questions. Post and pre-increment for every I, the j will move from 0 to number dot size. Okay, I think I understand what that means. So basically, my I is currently set to 0, which is the element 0, the first ever element of my index. Then my integer j is going to be a separate number. So like it's going to be my number 0 plus my, what was that called? I forgot. Guys, I don't know how to phrase it. Oh my gosh. Merkin, would you show assembly? I want to actually an assembly. I'm afraid I'm not sure what that means. Honestly, guys, I do know what it means. I can't explain it. I should be able to explain it if I understand it. If I write this code like about 50 more times, I'll definitely be able to explain it, guys. Okay, with that said, let me go ahead and return 0. Okay, let's return 0. If I would hit Control S, save the code, and run the command, it says enter a number. I'll go with something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Enter a target. I'll go with 12. Okay, I went with 12, but my standard console output wasn't shown. Okay, why wasn't it being shown? Okay, I think I know. Let's go with an else clause. Let's go with else. Do you know why you're using a j equals to I plus 1? Honestly, yeah, the reason I'm using j equals to I plus 1 because my new integer of j, that is going to be equal to my current integer I plus 1. So if my I is, for example, 0, I'm going to be going with the next element which comes after 0. That is relatively going to be increasing every time until j is less than my numbers.size, which is my numbers of vector.size. Does that make any sense? Writing the code over and over is not going to help. Honestly, that's how I actually come to understand the code. I mean, let computers show what it does if condition problem. Oh, wait, let me just try. Hi, how are you doing, LU? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, let's go with an else clause for curly braces. Okay, I'll go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to be saying something like, okay, none of the numbers in the vector adds up to the target. Okay, and then I'll go with an insertion operator of a / new line. Okay, let me go ahead and hit Control S, save the code, and run the command. Enter a number, I'll go with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Enter a target, I'll go with 12. Okay, actually, let me go with 3. Oh my gosh. None of the numbers in the vector adds up to the target. Okay. I think I see why is this showing so many, because it iterates over every single number. Hold up, I might not need the else in that case. Okay, let's go to Control C, copy that. You're explaining what the program is doing, but Y is doing. You're using j equals to I plus 1 because you only want to look at elements that comes after I in your inner loop. Huh. Okay, thinking of that, that does make sense. I should learn to phrase it, but let me just get something here real quick. Okay, let me paste it. Go here and say, okay, I feel like I understand the code, but can you tell me what happens inside the computer? Question mark. If that made any sense. Why standard vector but not standard array? Honestly, because I've just learned about standard vectors. I haven't started learning about standard arrays till now. If condition problem, read my comments. If condition should be number at index of I plus number at index of j equals to target. I feel like I... Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that does make sense. Hold up. Numbers at index of I plus numbers at index of j. I don't know why did I just go with I and j. Numbers at index of j equals to target. If I were to save the code and run the command, put the finger on every variable and give us its type. Put finger on every variable and give us its type. Honestly, what does that mean? Okay, let me run the code. Okay, enter a number. I'll go with something like, I don't know, 12, 32, 13, 4, 5, 6. Enter a target. I'll go with something like, okay, 2 plus 6 is 8, so I could go with 8. 2 plus 6 is 8. The code does work. I think it worked perfectly before as well. Okay, yes, Vivek, that makes perfect sense. Let me break it down what your computer is doing step by step, because right now you're tripping on logic versus indices. What happens when your program runs? Input phase, you ask the user for 6 numbers, store them in a vector, okay, then you ask a target number. Nested loop phase. for every integer I, okay, which equals to 0. Okay, so we create an integer called I, which equals to 0, and if our I is less than our number dot size, our I increases by 1. And then our inner loop for every integer of j, so we create a integer j which is equal to our current I, which is equal to 0. Always it's now going to be equal, or j won't be equal to our I, it's going to be equal to one element in front of our I, if that made any sense. Also, okay, and our j is less than our number dot size, we go with j plus plus. Okay, so our j increases by 1, and if our I plus j equals to our target, standard console output with an insertion operator. Okay, here's the problem that's confusing you. I and j are indices or indexes, not the actual number. I plus j equals to target checks if the position of numbers add up to target, not the number themselves. So the computer is literally doing 0 plus 1, 0 plus 2, 1 plus 2, oh, etc. and comparing that sum to the target. What you want instead is numbers at index of 1. Okay, this makes sense because my numbers is vector at index of I is first going to give me the index 0, which is going to be the first element, and my numbers at index of j is going to be equal to my I, which is currently my first element, plus 1, which is going to give me index 1. So numbers at index of I gives me index 0, that gives me index 1, if that equals to target. Okay, this adds the actual numbers stored at those positions, not their indexes. Ask GPT only when you have good understanding and want second pair of eyes not to think for you. Honestly, yeah, the reason I do ask ChatGPT Search Sensei for like giving me an explanation is so I get a good concept of how the codes work. Eventually, I do add a lot of questions and then do mini projects and everything too. For now, I just want to like understand these syntaxes. Okay, TLDR, right now the computer is summing indexes, not numbers. That's why your output can be totally wrong, even though the loop looks fine. If you want, I can give you a question too that lets you practice the nested loop properly using the numbers and adds extra twists. Hello, bro. What are you doing? Honestly, currently I'm just trying to master syntaxes in C++, and then I can like move on to like adding different mini projects. So let's see. Number index 1 is element value, but I is index. Oh, I see. Okay, let's say. Honestly, guys, I actually might have to even end the stream after this question because I do have a lot of college stuff. Let me say, Sensei, dot. Can I get one last practice? Actually, instructional based question for the stream because I have some college stuff to do. It's due by tonight. Dot. Subbed and liked. Honestly, I appreciate you, Supreme, for subbing and liking. Honestly, you Indian. Honestly, I don't know much about that. If you would not understand the syntax, then it would not even compile, bro. Honestly, I do understand the syntaxes. I don't understand what I'm not understanding. Okay, actually, I feel I do understand the syntaxes. Guys, I should think off stream this. I should like think what I'm actually not understanding. I feel because I don't know, guys. Okay, let me just set this. Let's get an instruction question, guys. Alright, Vivek, we'll make this one count. Last question for the stream. Elite level. Ask the user for 7 numbers and store them in a standard vector of integer. Ask the user for a target number. Use nested loop to find all pairs of numbers that sum the target twist. Only print pairs when both numbers are odd. Okay, if no such pair exists, print odd pairs to some target. No odd pairs to some target. Okay, I do know how to find even and odd numbers. Stop GPT training and go proper training course like W3 schools. Honestly, I might try. So many honestlies, guys. I should like stop saying honestlies. Okay, let's go to the control A and delete the whole thing. Okay, let's go to the control A, delete the whole thing. That said, let me start off by including IO stream. And guys, I do feel the only way that I improve in actually programming is by doing questions. At first, I honestly don't understand much, but eventually I do get a good grasp of it. That said, let me start off by including IO stream, and then let me go ahead and include vectors. So, I'll include vectors. Okay. Alright, next up, the first instruction says to ask the user for 7 numbers. So since I am asking the user for 7 numbers, let me just go with integer main and then add a pair of curly braces, maybe a bunch of spaces. Okay, so I could go with an integer. This is going to be called count, which is going to be equal to 7 because I'm going to ask the user for 7 numbers. And then let me go ahead and create a standard vector with a pair of ankle braces. This is going to be, let's see, my standard vector is going to be consisting of only integers. It's going to be called numbers. Okay, with that said, let me go ahead and add a while loop now. Okay, so I'll go with while, a pair of parentheses, while my count variable, I loop is for rows and j loop is for columns in every row. Oh, I see. Okay. I loop is for rows and j loop is for columns. Okay, that does make sense. I do understand what you guys mean, but for some reason my brain can't process it this quick. Okay, doing question is fine, but you need to understand the basics too. I think you should go away and do some reading before doing more questions. You need both. I feel like I do understand the basics, but then I just need like more practice because I remember when I started like Python, so while my count is greater than 0, okay, so when I first started learning Python, I felt like it was also complicating, but I used to like do 50 practice questions per topic. Eventually, I understood how the topics work and what goes like what's happening off the screen and everything like inside the computer. That said, I did do a lot of questions for those, so I feel like just practice makes me perfect. Okay, that said, let's see. Let me go with a variable here. So I'll go with an integer, but I will definitely like read something off stream if I have time, like after doing my college homework. Okay, so let's go with integer. This is going to be called number. Okay, and then I'll end that with a semicolon and add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting a text. This is going to say something like enter a number. Okay, I will be ending up with a semicolon as well, and then go with a standard console input with an extraction operator. I'm going to be extracting my number variable. Okay, and then let's see, that's integer number. Okay, next up, let me append that number inside of my numbers of vectors. So I'll go with my numbers of vector dot the push underscore back function. I want to push back my number variable. Okay, I'll end that with a semicolon. Lastly, I'll go with my count variable minus minus. Alright, perfect. Next step, ask the user for a target. So outside my while loop, I'll go ahead and create, excuse me guys, an integer called target. Okay, target. For loops, it's better to do patterns. Oh, I see. Okay, so I'll go with integer target and then go with a standard console output with an insertion operator. This is going to say something like enter a target. Okay, there we go. Enter a target. I will end that with a semicolon, and then let's go with a standard console input. My standard console input will be having an extraction operator. This is going to be my target variable. Alright, next up, let me go ahead and create a for loop. So I could create a for loop. First, to check if a number plus some other, okay, that needs to be an odd numbers, use a nested loop to find all the pairs of numbers that sum to the target. Okay. Use nested loops to find all pairs of numbers that sum to the target. Twist. Only print pairs where both numbers are odd. If no such pair exists. Okay, I see. Okay, so I'll go with a for loop first. So let me go ahead and create a variable. So I'll go for every integer of I, which equals to 0. Okay, I'll end that with a semicolon, and then I'll check if the I is either if it's less than my number vector size. So I'll go with if my I is less than my numbers vector dot the size function. If that does happen, let me go ahead and increase my I variable by 1. Okay, honestly, I do want to try plus I as well because someone did say me to this is faster. I don't need a difference, honestly. Okay, and then let me go with a pair of curly braces and then add another for loop. Let's go with for a pair of parentheses for every integer of j, which equals to my I variable plus 1. Okay, so basically what this means is, since my first initial I variable is equal to 0, this is going to be index 0 inside of my numbers' vector. I plus 1 equals to the first element. So whatever my I currently is, it's going to be showing me an element that comes after that. Okay, I think I understand that. I'll go with a semicolon and then I'll check the size of my. So if my j is less than my numbers is vector dot the size function, okay, as long as my integer j does not exceed more than my numbers is size. I think the reason we add this is because our j goes through every single element inside of our vector, and for example, if there are like 7 elements in a vector, it's going to be going through element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. After the 7th element, it's not going to be going through any more elements. Okay, I will go with the j++. Actually, let's go with plus j. There we go. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and now I add a if statement. Okay. Honestly, why do I have a for loop here. Okay, this should end with a semicolon. There we go. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and add an if statement. I'll go with if a pair of parentheses I++ will use first. I++ will use first the variable like for if or equals to, and then it will increase. Plus I will firstly increase and then use the number. Oh, I see. Post and pre-increment. Okay, that does make sense. I understood some of that. I will look into this off if I have time after my college stuff. That said, if my let's go with if my numbers is vector at index of I, which is initially going to be the first element or the index 0. Okay, if that plus my numbers at index of j, this is basically whatever my I element is, one element after my that I element. Okay, if that equals to my target variable, then I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add a standard console output with an insertion operator. I am going to be inserting something like, let's see, standard console output. Okay, I'll go ahead and insert my numbers at index of I. Okay, I could go with my numbers at index of I. Okay. And then I'll go with an insertion operator. This is going to be plus sign, another insertion operator. This is going to be my numbers at index of j, and then I add another insertion operator of an equal to sign. Okay, another insertion operator of my target. For the integer I equals o total numbers dot size. Yo, missed you, bro. I appreciate joining the stream, Joltman. I honestly was wondering where you've been at. I missed you too, actually. Okay, target. Okay, total plus. You can store vector length and separate variables inside the for loop head. In this way, you can evade calling size function each iteration. Okay, for every integer I equals 0, total equals to number dot size. Okay, I is less than total plus. Okay, I think I see. I do want to do more practice on that. Does that compile? Okay, let's see. If number at index of 1, number at index of j, static console output. Okay, now I gotta check if. Okay, so I might add a nested if statement. Let me just copy this part real quick. Okay, let me copy that, delete that. Let me add an if statement inside this if statement. So if my numbers at index of I and my numbers at index of j is modulus 2, okay, equals to is odd, so it's not equal to 0. If both of these numbers are odd, then I'm going to be doing something. Let's see, why does it show like a red underline here? I feel I did everything correct. Equals to target if numbers are at index of I. Yep, I've never seen that. How fun, honestly. Okay, so why do I? Oh, okay, because this should be. Okay, never mind, guys. I'm stupid. This should be a pair of pair of parentheses. There we go. Okay, now inside my if statement, only if both my numbers are odd, I'm going to be going with this standard console output. Okay, let's go with an else clause now. I'll go with else, a pair of curly braces. Let's add something. If condition parentheses. Yeah, guys, I should pay more attention. I feel like I equals to 1, semicolon, j equals to plus I is 2, j is 2. I think, okay, I should like work on that something off stream. Okay, let's go with another standard console output, an insertion operator. I'm going to be inserting something like, okay, no odd pairs to some targets. So I'll go with no odd pairs to some targets. Okay, perfect. I'll go with another insertion operator of a / new line. Okay, perfect. Lastly, outside my for loop, let me go ahead and return 0. I'm pretty sure this should work. If I were to go with the controllers to save the code and run the command, enter a number, I'll go with something like 12, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now it says enter a target. My target could be, let's pick two odd numbers. So I'll go with 7 and 5, guys. What's 7 plus 5? I think it's 12. 3 plus 7 equals to 1, 2, 3 plus 7 equals 12. Where's the 1, 2, 3 coming for, guys? Okay, plus, so this is 3 plus 7 equals to target. Where's the 1, 2, 3 coming from, guys? Hold up, let me try something with even as well. Let's go with something like 23, 14, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's pick an even number. So 2 plus 6 is 8. No odd pairs found. Okay, it still shows 14 plus 5 equals to 8. Okay, I think because 14 and 5 is like an odd number. Actually, no, 14 is even. Let me copy that. You're missing end line. I added like a new line here. 1, 2, 3. Do I need to? Oh, okay. I'll go with an insertion operator of an end line. There we go, a standard end line. All right, perfect, guys. That was. I should, bro. You need to put parentheses x plus y modulus 2. Is that like important? I could like try it. Okay, let's go with a pair of parentheses. Oh, okay. The indexes did change. Let's go with Control S to save the code if I run the command. Okay, let's go something like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My target is going to be something like 13. 3 plus 8 equals 13. 7 plus 3 equals 13. Okay, I see. I just had to find odd though. Okay, let's just go with a Control C, copy that, get some C/ChatGPT here. Okay, maybe I go down, paste it, go with Shift, Enter, and say, let's say, I feel like it worked and I messed up at the same time. What's this code for? Honestly, this code is just for me understanding the basics of C++ on how do I use nested loops, how to use for loops, while loops, and like the basic syntaxes. Parentheses is for the weak. Guys, I think that's the reason I always forget parentheses. I guess I did not come in the category of weak, guys. That was a joke. Let me do some coffee. Why add inside if and not plus? Honestly, because I gotta check if my numbers are odd. So only if my index 1 and my numbers at index j, so if my numbers at index I and numbers at index j modulus 2 is not equal to 0, if they are odd numbers, that's when I want to display it on the screen. Else, I don't want to display it on the screen. Okay, let's see what ChatGPT said. Okay, let's break it down. Issue in your code. Odd check is wrong if numbers, okay, doesn't do what you think and a logical and not both numbers. It evaluates true, I, or false. Okay, true, which is 1, or false, which is 0, and then modulus 2 not equal to 0. That's not checking if both numbers are odd. Correct check if numbers modulus 2 is not equal to 0 and, oh, okay. Okay, this makes sense. So if my first index is odd, here are my and my numbers at index j and modulus 2 is not equal to 0. This checks each number individually to see if it's odd. Output mistake, standard console output, number at index of 1 is always the second number in your vector. I wanted to type I, guys. Okay. Else statement, right now you print no pairs every time it's odd, which is going to be spam. Okay. Better only print after checking all pairs. If no matching pairs was found, use boolean false flag. Okay. I could try that. No pair of odd numbers comment should be at the end of the code after completing the loop. Or you can also do something like x multiplied by y and 1. Oh, I see. Okay, I think I understand. I think I understand now, guys. Modulus 2 is not equal to 0. So if my numbers at index of I is odd and my numbers at index of j modulus 2 is not equal to 0 because odd multiplied by odd equals to odd. I haven't thought of it that way, honestly. That's actually a genius way to think about it. Okay, let's remove this. Maybe remove the pair of parentheses as well. Okay, so if numbers, if that is odd and that is odd, I do this. This is going to be numbers at index of I. I don't know why did I go with 1. And 1 gives you last bit. Oh, I see. Okay, so I go with a standard console output. Okay, so better only print once after a flag. So I could create a flag as well. So let's go with a boolean flag of something like is odd. I'll set that equal to, should I set it to true at first? Okay, I'll set it to true at first. Okay, honestly, I'll go with false. There we go. FALSC, there we go. Okay, so false. And then once both my numbers are false, instead of going with the standard console output, I'll copy that, delete that. I will just go with my whatchamacallit, is odd variable. I'll set that equal to true because I have found a odd number. And then I remove this, my else clause from here. I go with another if statement, maybe outside my for loop. Let's go outside my for loop. Okay, there we go. This should be outside both my for loops. Right here. Okay, now let's go with an if statement. If a pair of parentheses, if boolean, okay, actually if is odd, if my is odd is set to true, okay, is odd, then I do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Let's see, I'll go with the standard console output. Maybe I zoom out a bit. There we go. If is odd, I do that. You don't need to do anything like this. Just fill the odd, just filter the odd, find sum that equals required. I just gotta filter the odd. Odd is true. Honestly, guys, I might think about this or do the exact same thing next stream as well because I do have some college stuff to do right now. I gotta go ASAP, guys. Wait, let me just copy that real quick and add that inside my if statement. There we go. I could go with something like shift tab to de-indent. Is that how we... Let's go with shift tab. Actually, tabs. Okay, I think that was like a bad idea. Okay, let me just type it out. So if I'll go with a pair of parentheses, if is odd, if my number is odd, I'll do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then go with a standard console output. Oh, I don't want to type that out. Okay, let me actually paste that here. Just copy the standard console output. Okay, and then go with Control Z. Okay, let's paste that here. No, just when odds are found. Just when odds are found. Okay, yeah, so once my odd is found in two variables, store in two variables. Okay, so this is going to be odd 1 is false and odd 2 is false. When you found an odd pair, you can write break to stop and loop further search. Oh, by the way, I have worked at Google and top competitive coder in India. That actually sounds pretty good and like fun. Okay, I'll go with is odd. This is going to be 2, also that equal to false as well. Okay, so when you found odd pair, you can write break. Okay, so once a odd is found, I could go with a break. I'll go with 1 and change that to false. Bro, reach put to me off stream. I'll give you a crash course and set up IDE and compiler. Honestly, you could like join the Discord. I could ask you after stream. Because guys, after stream, I'm always just doing my college stuff. So I will look if I have time because I do want to actually figure this out. Okay, I'll go with and odd 2. Hold up. If that condition is true, odd 1 is set to true. Wait, I think I could just go with like 1. Okay, I'll see what happens with like one real quick. If is odd, I'll paste that. Okay, and then I will add a break as well. So let's go with a break. Okay, bro, are adding second flag? Okay, so no adding second flag. Okay, I did delete my second flag. Okay, so I go with that. Let's go with the control S and see what happens. In the terminal, just take two integer variables. No need for IDE, just use submit text and blit library in the same folder as text file. Honestly, I feel like I do that. I think I do. I'm not sure, guys. Just take two integer variables. I have two integer variables. Wait, let me actually check if this is correct. Okay, let me copy that. Paste it. Go with Shift Enter and say. So let's say, did I mess up? Question mark. I feel like I did it correct. Use Sublime build for C++ where it takes from input/output. Sublime build. I'll actually check that after I'm done submitting my stuff. I have like I don't know how many hours, like 6 hours to complete my homework. Okay, haha, Vivek, yes, and it's a fantastic learning moment. Let's dissect this. Braces are messy. Da-da-da. Okay, your inner if is odd is inside the first block, and after a break, the compiler will throw an error or skip it. Break immediately leaves the inner loop, so the print inside never reaches. Correct structure. If number index 2 is not equal to 0 and number at index 1 modulus 2 is not equal to 0. Did I do the exact same thing? Okay, I don't have my is odd inside this. You don't need a separate is odd variable unless you want to print no odd loops, okay? Break misuse. Break exists the innermost loop immediately after it. Okay. Here it's cutting off your search for other pairs. Remove it. Okay. Remove it if you want to find all valid odd pairs. Not just the first one. Printing no odd pairs. If you want to print a number where when no odd pairs exist, boolean found equals to false. Where no odd pairs exist. If not found, standard console output. You're so close. Okay, so I think the only place that I messed up. What city are you from? Honestly, I used to answer these questions so much in my previous stream, but many people did say me not to say this on stream because there are like few people who like remove my whole IP address, and I'm like, whoops. Guys, the next thing I know, I'll get a knock on my door. That said, I used to say this a lot, but I am trying to like control myself from saying which country and everything I am. I used to say it in my previous streams though. Okay, let's see. I will remove this as well. Okay, maybe. Okay, if that is true, I will just be adding one stuff. My found variable is going to be equal to true. There we go. And then outside my entire loop, so outside all my loops, I'll go with something like a if statement, if a pair of parentheses, if not found, if my found variable is set to true. Okay, if that is set to true, I'll do something. I'll paste the standard console output. I might actually just copy the standard console output because I'm way too this thing to actually type it out. Okay, no odd pairs found. Okay, if this is set to false, no odd pairs found. Okay, I can go with found. So if found, because my found is currently set to false. Wait, in that case, I could set this to true. Huh. Okay, let me go with the control S. I know I could change, guys. I don't know what's the point of being lazy. Let me just go with an exclamation here. If not found, if my found is set to true, I gotta type that whole thing again. Okay, I'll go with something like this. Let's say, okay, I actually can't go with that because I need to do that inside of my, whatchamacallit, inside of my for loop. Okay, I think this actually does work. If I were to run the code, okay, enter a number, use this code for, okay, I could honestly use this code, but then I don't think I can like read it in chat because in the chat it feels like it's all clunked up. That said, let's go with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 67, fine. Then 6, 7, enter a target, I'll go with 12. Okay, it doesn't print anything. Guys, I'm actually trying to rush this up right now because I will definitely go through this in more detail next stream. because I do need to complete my assignments, or I'm going to get, or my marks are going to be deducted. I'm actually currently I'm an A student because I don't want my like I want to have a good 4.0 GPA when I'm done or everything. Okay, let's go with the arithmetic. This is way closer, but you're still missing the print after parentheses. Right now, you're checking for odd pairs and setting pound equals to true, but you never actually print the numbers. Okay, that from the odd pair, the program will only say no odd pairs to some target if nothing matches, but it won't show the pairs if they do exist. Here's the fine corrected. Okay, yeah, I needed this part. I wanted to retype this part, but I was like too lazy. Not like too lazy, too out of time. Just above the found equals to print the pair you're not printing. Honestly, yeah, I was thinking to like print it. Then I was like, oh guys, I gotta go soon. There we go. I go to the standard console output. Let's go with the Control S to copy, run the code. Okay, let's quickly add a few numbers. Okay, enter a target. I'll go with 12. 5 plus 7 equals to 12. Guys, I'll take this, although I do not take any credit whatsoever for this code. Let's go with Control A, Control C, gets it say here. Okay, I will work more on this next stream. There we go. Let me paste it, go with Shift Enter and say, it works, dot dot dot, and I am planning to end the stream right now, dot dot dot. So, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers before I leave, question mark? Okay, let's see. Listen up, viewers. Vivek didn't just code today, he fought through messy logic, broken loops, and prime numbers until he mastered them. The lesson: don't fear breaks, if else's or nested loops, they look scary until you actually dive in. Tinker, break stuff, and fix it. Remember, every error you make is a step closer to dominating C++. Go code, break, fix, and level up, Vivek. Get that college work done, and next stream go deeper into loops, vectors, and logical mind-bending challenges. Okay, let me go to my main camera. Alrighty guys, that was basically it for the stream. I did want to go through more of this. Maybe once my college is over, I could spend 6 hours streaming again like how I used to before. That said, if you guys did enjoy this video, if you guys did enjoy this stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Like, it helps with my algorithm. Sharing makes me smile, and subscribing is like a cherry top. And guys, once I get my new PC and I'm done building it, I will start multi-streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and maybe TikTok at the same time as well. So be sure to follow me there if you guys enjoy my content. Link is in the description, and also join the Discord. Link is in the description and in the pinned comments. Well, I'll catch you guys